pretty much.
Is wisecrack like another way of saying smartass?
Wisecrack is pretty much a channel that tries to view media through like a lens of philosophy. But the problem is that their channel it kind of became just, we're gonna exploit the algorithm and make money, because they used to make some really good videos about philosophy, and I really like philosophy, especially analyzing.
Weren't they the meme that started like the middle meme?
Oh yeah, they were. We all
remember that.
Yeah, the middle and the trilogies.
It's always the best part.
I was scrolling on my page on Twitter to find the EDAR 12 one. I'm just gonna retweet it. But when I did that, I scrolled past that picture of John Pertwee, and I had to look back at it. I was like, oh no, I have to see that again. Anyway, let's see. Live now, bitches.
Yes, that's how we talk to our audience.
Exactly. I just woke up and I just saw a bunch of people responding to my Hellbent tweet, and they're just like, no, you like the space pirates. You like Love and Monsters. It's 2021.
Wow, you can't like things that aren't that good.
And I'm just,
wow.
Love
and Monsters isn't even close to being like.
I'm just thinking.
It isn't.
I wouldn't call it like abysmal at all. I wouldn't call it.
It's like a 4 out of 10. Like the ending is the worst part. Like most of the plot makes sense.
I'm just thinking. When Samuel Davis said it's 2021, does that mean if you thought Hellbent was good in 2015, you were before your time?
Yes.
I can only go on the logic he's been set up here, you know? After all, the people that are in my comment section do determine the rules of life.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and also Samuel Davis does look a bit like Jesus, so maybe he is God. Speaking of Samuel Davis, he's actually going to be one of the people we cover today in this video, funnily enough.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, right? It's a crazy coincidence. Well, you'll find out. He does some.
I'm having a drink. I hope that's okay.
Samuel Davis actually does have some really good videos. He has a series called Broke Canon, which is really cool. He goes through a whole bunch of like Doctor Who canons, like weird inconsistencies on his channel, and you learn some very strange things about like the extended universe that I was like, some of the things that I've learned from his videos, I'm like, what is that?
I think I've been recommended a video of his now that you mentioned that, because that kind of topic sounds familiar.
Yeah, so the one that we're going to be doing from him in this EDAR is called, I think it's like fixing finales or like rewriting finales or something.
I wonder why we've picked this one.
Well, it's actually a massive coincidence, because one of the ones he's actually going to be talking about is Journey's End, which has been a recent topic of discussion.
Well, yeah, just to kind of explain it, so about 2 days ago, Ecom did a gaming stream on Gartic Phone. It was a lot of fun. I was on it, I kind of was sat there at nearly the end of the last 40 minutes and doing nothing, but you know.
You're doing the first stuff.
Yes. After we finished up, I think everybody pretty much left, and me and Jeb just talked for a few hours. And the topic we kind of discussed was Series 5. We went over that. We went all the topics of like how the finale works, how the function works, and we came out of it thinking, hey, this actually works really well. Moffat actually wrote a really good plot line that made complete sense given the rules that are established. And we gave it a big thumbs up. We then talked about Stolen Earth and Journey's End, and Jeb had the script up, and we were just going through it, and there were a lot of issues we seemed to find, and the biggest thing was the Daleks being really shit. Many times they just could kill people, and they just don't. They, for some reason, follow Dalek Khan, even though the Supreme Dalek literally calls him insane. Very weird how they're just following his whole what he's told them is going to happen if they do this, yet the one in charge doesn't respect him in any way. It's very, very strange. And then it's just like other stuff, like the Doctor saying a really weird line that kind of weakens series 1 for some reason. There was a lot of like teleportation of characters saving other characters, which was really tism, especially one part with Rose saving Wilf and Sylvia. That was when we looked over that. It wasn't too great.
Hey, if
And
she
just-
saved Wolf, she's forgiven. I don't care if it makes
I
sense.
mean, yes, Wilf is safe. Yes,
Well, I mean, actually,
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're having a laugh, Marcus, but actually, that's the one thing that you did find still held up was the characterization for most of the people involved.
the characterization is great. The only thing that, like, in terms of characters that's bad is the Daleks and like Davros and stuff.
Yeah, but like
mentioned
the protagonists though, like the leads, the ones that actually have the ones that actually have their names like in the title credits.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Jab mentioning though that that line where the Doctor talks to Donna when he's leaving is kind of out of character since he knows they could break her.
No, oh yeah, that's true. Like when the Doctor going to Donna as he's about to leave, I don't know why you would take that risk. Like,
I think that was probably more so just like, if I were to have a guess, I would say that he knew that was potentially a bit dangerous, but he couldn't help himself. But he had to say goodbye one last time.
I don't believe that. Considering what he's just gone on about with the family.
I guess you have to like.
He's very stern on the facts.
I think you could have had the same kind of thing if you see him opening his mouth to talk, you see him like he's gonna start to talk, but then he's
tempted,
himself.
but then he stops himself. Yeah,
exactly. You just see him in the background stopping himself while Donovan.
I guess from a writing standpoint, rather than in universe, I suppose from a writing standpoint, you'd have to ask yourself, does this work when you consider what happens in End of Time? Because obviously in End of Time it retcons Donna's death.
In End of Time you have Sylvia who literally says to the Doctor, "What if she sees you?" So I don't know why he would like. There's a pretty stern line of like,
I guess the issue would be more in End of Time, making it a bigger issue. Because End of Time establishes new information that could cause an issue. So.
and that's really shit how End of Time does it as well.
Yeah, the fact that she just has... Well, the thing is, she has a defense mechanism, and it seems the only reason that Russell wrote that in is because
But that also seems very dangerous. What if he activates the defense mechanism inside the house? That seems pretty dangerous.
That was kind of what I was thinking, like, because either he's gonna think, okay, so if I activate it, I can just redo it. But if he can just redo it, then there is like no issue of her burning up, like you said, in theory. But if he activates the thing that's established in End of Time, it's kind of like, oh, that could cause like big issues in terms of what that could cause. So it's kind of like, I don't think it's a great choice from the Doctor.
And I
it's
think
not really consequential, but it's weird.
A big thing I would also say is the fact that the Doctor really cares about Donna. I don't buy at all that he would risk her life at all.
Yeah, I genuinely just think the reason why they wrote that was because to turn everyone in the world into like masters, they had to find a way for Donna to not be killed by them or like taken, and that's all he did. He just went, well, she's got a defense mechanism.
Well, with End of Time, I understand that they want a moment where Donna just doesn't recognize him at all. Like, I'm fine with that, but I think the way it's done isn't great.
I haven't rewatched it yet, but I remember like the defense mechanism itself is not being like terrible. It's just kind of like most of the episodes.
I do remember rewatching it and thinking it wasn't as bad as I first thought. Like, I remember rewatching it and thinking, oh, actually, there's a bit of context for this, but it still has issues. Like, it's still like a...
it's... End of Time is a strange one. I really like
End of Time is a very weird story. It's very weird. It's kind of a one of a kind, really. Like, there's nothing really like it in terms of what's good and what's bad about it.
It's one of Russell's weirdest scripts, for sure.
Especially considering it's his last one as well. Like, it's his final one that he went out on.
Yeah, you'd think he'd try to, like... go out with a bang. Because like even Moffat did with Doctor Falls.
Well.
I guess you could
But
count.
then Twice Upon a Time happened.
Yeah,
See-
you could count Twice Upon a Time.
See, if
but
you're
let's count
counting
Dr.
if you're counting Doctor Falls, then I can count bloody Waters of Mars as him going out with a bang. So there you go.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
I'd say
to
so.
be fair, it's kind of like season 4 is Russell's last, and it's like his best season, and he has the specials that have Waters of Mars, and Waters of Mars is like the best episode of the show. So
Yes.
I'd probably say no, he did go out with a bang, which is like saying in the terms of last episode. But yeah, I forgot that Twice Upon a Time
Although-
existed, and
I think you could probably argue that part 1 of End of Time is worse than part 2. I'd say it definitely is.
I would say
Most of the issues come in
without
part 1.
rewatching it in a long time.
I think most of the issues come in part 1.
gonna be watching it.
Mainly revolves around the resurrection scene with the Master. The only big glaring issues of part 2 I can remember are the 1,000-foot drop, or however big it was. I think some Jeb corrected me on that one. And then
it was
then
fucking that insane drop that
Yeah.
you should not have survived.
and then the defense mechanism as well. Those are the two big ones I remember being an issue.
Well, so you're saying, Connor, the scene where the doctor says I could do so much more isn't a bad scene?
No, no,
That's
that's
crazy.
no, that's the
That's one of the best scenes in his entire run.
Well, that's
It is
the
legit
that's the
best
thing though,
scene.
is that most of part 2 is actually just about the characterization, and the characterization is actually great.
It's fucking
Yeah.
amazing.
John Sims is the name of the actor, right?
Yes.
With the master.
Plays
Dude,
the
he's
master.
phenomenal. I was so happy when it was confirmed for series.
Yeah,
10,
but
'cause
Marcus, he's really cringe. What are you on about?
he's- I can see people saying he's cringe in the End of Time, considering how over the top he
Man,
is.
part
Like,
1,
I find him.
I'd see that, and I'd say part 1. He's very over the top.
Not part 2, though.
I really enjoy him in part 1, but I can see where someone would say that.
Part 2, I think he's actually kind of what he's like in series 3, just a bit more crazy in a sense. In not like there's hints of the part 1 aspect of him.
Yeah, well,
But then,
I mean, the thing with part 1 is that it's kind of the idea is that because he's undead or something, like he's manic and like.
And also, isn't the?
I guess you could say.
Johnson
I guess you could
said
say.
more-
I guess you could say in a time part 1, it's like a Snickers advert. It's like you're not you and you're hungry. I'm hilarious.
But isn't also like he's crazier because the drums in his head are louder because it's closer
Yes,
to.
because he's
Yeah,
come
yeah.
back from the dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only that, but it's also because that's when the Time Lords are coming, right? And it
Yes.
gets louder and louder as they come. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like that would make him go crazier. I
Oh,
suppose.
also, actually, you talking about like the Time Lords with the Time Lock and the Time War. Another thing in Journey's End is that how badly they explain how Dalek Khan saved Davros from the Time War. They just say he did it.
Yeah.
He just said he
nobody
did.
can do it, and they're like, "Well, yet he did. How
He
how
did what
strange."
Time Lords failed to do, but they don't explain actually how.
Actually,
Like, he just it cost him
interesting.
his mind, and that's it.
Interesting to
Didn't
know.
like Day of Time explain that better?
So Callum,
Day of Time, I did the doctor.
just a question, Callum.
I don't know.
I'm not saying you have
Yes.
to make a final accusation or anything, but if you go off the criticisms you've just had about Journey's End and Stolen Earth, like you just wrap up all the things that you've done in the last 2 days, and like basically definitively say that those are the criticisms you have. Which story you think is better written, Journey's End or End of Time?
Ooh. Oh, that's a tough one because Journey's End is really bad. It's really badly written. Oh. It could be End of Time, not gonna lie. With Stolen Earth being like a 5 writing wise, End of Time might actually be better. I'm not sure.
Especially when you consider that you could make an argument that the concluding half is more important to stories than the opening, and
Or how it's all resolved and how it all fits together.
yeah.
I mean, how you
really
solve your
important.
conflict
Although,
is obviously going to be
there
really
is-
important. And
there
the way they
is,
solve the
um,
conflict in Journey's End is
there-
retarded.
There is a factor with End of Time that is a bit different to Journey's End that you might not be aware of, in that it contradicts things from Classic Who and the EU. that you might not know about.
Yeah, I wouldn't count the E because I don't consider that
Right. But it does. It does.
Classicu.
Like I just
sure.
like I the other day, like this week, I rewatched the Five Doctors, and it made me realize like how much Rassilon is out of character in End of Time.
Oh yeah, I've heard people say that.
Like even though I love him in End of Time, I love the portrayal and I love the performance. His entire character is completely and utterly backwards. So in the Five Doctors, he's a character that has discovered immortality, and the twist at the end of the story is that he realizes that immortality is actually like a curse, and so he tricks Barusa into it, which then causes suffering. It's basically the moral of the story is that he who shall win shall lose, and he who shall lose shall win. So the point is that Rassilon has immortality but doesn't want it anymore, but can't get rid of it because he thought he wanted it, but then found out that it's not what it's made up to be, and came up with that
so
whole.
It has like immortality, kind of like the Doctor after the reveal in Timeless Children, where it can just regenerate forever.
Kind of. It's a bit different, but he became immortal and then resented that he became immortal because of what comes of it. Like the immortality is basically pointless. But then in End of Time, it's different. It's that he says, "I shall not die." So it's like he doesn't want to die in End of Time. It's almost like the Rassilon End of Time, chronologically, it would make sense if he was before the Five Doctors rather than after.
Well, could you make an argument that the Time Lord has changed him? I'm not saying that's
I would
good
say that is
overall, but...
like it's fair to say the Time Lord changed him, but you'd need to show that.
But he also says like a billion years of Time Lord history riding on our back.
That's true.
So it's not. I don't.
That's true.
There's a little bit more layers to it.
Also, like again, like you said, if you don't count the EU, there is a massive gap because that's the last time we saw him on TV. Was the Five Doctors.
Mm-hmm.
There is Rassilon content in Big Finish that I have heard, but I don't know. That is a good question. But as it stands, in terms of like if you just go straight from the Five Doctors to the End of Time, he's completely done a 180 on his thoughts on immortality. So yeah.
If that's the case,
but is that like the only thing that End of Time contradicts, or is there more? Because if that's the only thing, then I'd say it's still better.
So I've heard some people criticize the way the Time Lords are characterized. Things like why did the Time Lords have a foot?
Well, doesn't 10 explain that the Time will change them?
Yeah, I know that.
At their very core.
I know that, but for example, like Dylan said, why did the Time Lords have a fortune teller? Like he says, isn't that just a pointless thing? And I always thought that the reason why that is not necessarily because it would be pointless. It's more so having a fortune teller doesn't matter whether or not you can travel in time. There are still things that occur like in a linear fashion, if that makes sense. That's what I always
it'd be
thought.
like in their own timelines, right? Because even though they travel in time,
it's also
their
like
own time was.
Well, it's also like if you're a Time Lord, you could have a fortune teller for things that happen in the past and the present as well. Like, it's not necessarily. It's more so like about how things are changing all the time with time is what I would have thought. But yeah, there's.
Right.
I'm sure
that is a thing that time.
Oh yeah, and also it implies that. There's a bunch of other things with the Time Lords that I've heard about, but I can't remember exactly what the points were. But that was the main one, is Rassilon, the fact that he does a complete 180 about his thoughts on immortality. And a lot of people don't like that.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that.
Yeah.
But I would say, as of right now, I'd probably actually give the edge to End of Time.
That's a big hot take.
Because Stolen Earth, like, it was the amount of issues me and Jeff found was just, it was real sad to go through it. And like the most of the stuff with the Doctor is actually fine. It's all the other stuff. Like, me and Jeb actually, when reading through the story, we were worried that what Martha does initially was out of character. How she goes from, like, obviously talking to the Doctor on the subway network to then suddenly go to the place where she needs to activate the Ostenhagen key, which is like, oh, that's a bit of a weird change. But then they do explain it's like a last.
Yeah, they explained that it was like her kind of like threatening
Backup
the
plan.
Daleks, right?
Well, it was pretty much a backup plan at that point because
Yeah, and
the
then
whole
like
mission
if
is
they
to
don't
try and
do it,
find the
then she's
Doctor.
gonna- Yeah, and then if they can't do it, then she's gonna blow it up because it's
Like they actually, to give Stolen Earth credit, they actually do really well set up, like everything with Martha in part 1, with like how she can teleport, because they established that she's a part of the project, and if she's moved, the project would obviously be moved with her, and all that stuff. So I think that's all kind of actually that's probably the strongest part of Stolen Earth, I'd say.
It's funny though because when people
it's
funny though because when people complain about that story, they complain about things that aren't actually a problem. Like for example,
that's what annoys me the most.
The biggest example is
no one who hate this story don't bring any of this up.
Like the biggest example is the second beach scene. That's actually a great scene, and everyone says it's terrible.
Yeah, I don't know why the people hate it. It's really good.
It's a really good scene, and it fits with both the Doctor and Rose's characters like to a T.
And it explains a lot about why, about the Doctor's morality, and it's just brilliant when he says, "Oh, he was born in the middle of war, and he's bloodthirsty or whatever."
Mm-hmm.
Does that remind you of anyone? That's me when we met. It's like, dude, yes.
I know,
this
right?
Understands this character.
I know, right? And also like
characterization.
the fact that like it's like. This version of the Doctor is a human version that the Doctor could never be. It fits so well with this whole arc. And then there's so many people that say like, "Oh, Rose is just being selfish, saying the Doctor's not you." And I'm like, but if you were any reasonable person, you would question the authenticity of the partner you're going to be living with,
because this is something brand new.
Yeah, it's a bit like,
how it's gonna work.
and it has a similar scenario to the Doomsday one with Jackie and Parallel Pete. It's like, even though they're very similar, they are not the same person. And so the idea is that you are actually meeting a whole new person that's very similar to your partner.
Yeah.
And so Rose obviously questioning that is fair, because it's like, well, you're expecting me to fall in love with someone that's not you. That's what she's saying. But then people are like, people saying that she's selfish for that. I'm like, that's ridiculous.
No, like the people's criticisms like that I've known of for a long time. It's just none of it actually is like actual criticism.
Well, the funny
and
thing
they
is,
don't
it's
even
like
acknowledge the actual bad.
I find a lot of people that criticize Rose for being selfish is just like, well, she has desires. Like,
I mean,
What
you can say like Rose is a very flawed character. Like she's extremely flawed, especially with what she does to Mickey. But what's really good is that they actually address that in the show. So it's not like it's not
she's a flawed
like
person.
a 19-year-old girl that is without her father and has desires. Like, what's wrong with that?
No, that's selfish.
Yeah, it's you have shit like Father's Day where it explores perfectly how like she wants to have these things that she's never had in her life. She wants to live this her life with her father and everything.
Well,
it doesn't matter like
this is
the universe is doing.
I mean, I've seen I saw like a video from there's a YouTube channel called The School of Life. It's a bunch of like psychologists and whatnot, and they were saying I watched a video from them saying something about like one of the core values of actual attraction and love is not necessarily someone that will make you happy, but someone that will help you suffer in ways that feel familiar. And that does sound a bit bleak, but that's kind of what the Doctor does for her, is that he helps her suffer in ways that feel familiar to her, and that's very valuable to go through life with someone, and that's why she falls in love with the Doctor. Is for that reason, and I think Father's Day is a great example of that. Is that the one thing that she's always like had that void in her life, was that not knowing who her father was, and then the Doctor taking her through that process of meeting her father and then having to witness him die. It's like, and then also like holding her hand through it is kind of, it's very, it's very larger than life, but in a lot of ways it represents that sort of going through experiences with your partner like that. And that's something that Mickey could never give her.
Yeah, despite Mickey being a great person,
Because,
you know,
like,
her
you know,
treatment is
as
not wrong.
Mickey says in Boomtown, it's just like, we were happy. But then again, when you think
Yeah.
about it, it's like, just being happy isn't the actual substance of a relationship.
Yeah, the good part of Boomtown.
Oh yeah, that's another thing that Jeb's been talking about.
Yeah, that's another hot take. Jeb recently rewatched Boomtown, and apparently it's really shit.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
But the
plot is-
Rose, but the Rose and Mickey stuff is great.
Yeah, which is funny because that's the
So-
part that people usually criticize.
Yeah, I know exactly. Again, people fucking criticize the wrong things,
It's really funny.
and it's really it is really funny. You
I
know
really
what else they
don't get anyone
criticize?
that criticizes like the characterization and RTD's
Well,
because
you
it's
say
just
that.
really
You say that, Marcus. But the whole reason we brought you on today is that people love to criticize a certain set of episodes. It's specifically in the free margin, known as Series 3.
Yeah.
And they like to
Well,
really
don't-
criticize
don't
the
sound exactly
Doctor crying over the fact that the Master is dying.
Oh, dear.
And apparently that's out of character.
What? It's the last member of a species. Like they were friends when they were kids. Like,
Also, it's very much established that they were former friends. And I think even
Yeah.
Classicu would strengthen that.
And also, bloody, they say, what is it? They say that it's out of character for the Master to die.
what? No, but it's
That's his only means of escape, though. He literally can't do anything else.
No, but apparently
Not only
he would have
escape,
found a.
but just show the
They
Doctor that
say that
he's
he would have
won.
found a way out. That's what they always say.
How do they know that?
Because he's done it before.
I mean, he
he's
kinda-
done it before, though.
kind of did in End of Time, but it's like that's not. That's fucking dumb. Like, why in the fuck would?
Not only does he do it to escape, he does it out of spite. So because he knows the Doctor, he knows him very well.
Yeah, he's. Doesn't he say like I win or some shit?
Yeah,
I win.
yeah.
That scene is so
Because the
fucking
Doctor
good.
is so distraught. He knows this is going
Also-
to absolutely destroy
Also,
him.
the actual context of the moment will affect your decision making. So, in this moment, it's not just some normal the Master got shot. It is literally the Doctor crumbled his entire empire like a house of cards, and basically
Undid everything
became you know, a messianic figure over him, retroactively speaking, like a not going into this whole like narrative people say that the Doctor's space Jesus, but basically what he did was he overpowered him in that fashion, and that was like the absolute least thing that the Master wanted, and the fact that the Doctor forgave him as well is just another knife in the chest in that scenario. And the Master like truly felt like he completely lost everything that he thought he won. So he desperately wants to, you know, be able to come back from that. And the only power he has is to not let the Doctor have what he wants. So there is context for it.
That reminds you of that speech from the 12th Doctor. Is it I think it's Chubani, or
Yeah.
it's like he says like I forgive you, like you children, you don't think
Also,
anyone's gonna forgive you, but here's the thing, I forgive you. And it's like, yeah, this is the Doctor, like he's and like for someone like the Master, he's not gonna be just accept that he's forgiven because he doesn't want that.
and also,
Like the last thing he wants is for the Doctor to actually forgive.
Game Triller Prime makes a good point here. A lot of the times before this story, like in Classico, for example, that the Master did, you know, get out of life-threatening situations, it was actually quite poor. Like some of the times that it happened was actually kind of bullshit anyway. So it's like you're establishing things about a character that don't make sense. So why would you trust that?
I mean, yeah, like he in Planet of Fire, he's like, I've seen both stories. He burns to death or whatever,
Yeah.
quote unquote.
Yeah, and then
But
he
then
he just
in
turns
Mark
up in
of the Rani, he just turns up in Mark of the Rani, and that's really bad. So they don't actually, as far as I was aware, they don't actually explain it well.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good.
Yeah, and bloody, I think I can't remember if he dies in Survival or not. I can't remember, but then he just like turns up in the TV movie in a box with the Doctor as a jizz snake, and then he escapes within 1 second of the Doctor looking away. It's really funny. Yeah, but no.
Just when you look at this dialogue, it's like, oh, how about that? I win. It's like,
but yeah,
I wonder what
exactly,
he means
yeah.
by that.
I wonder what he means by that.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, because like, if you weren't paying attention, you'd be like, "No, master, you lose because you're dead."
Are you inferring, Connor, that people don't pay attention?
I wouldn't make such an accusation of clearly
Of
very
course.
very
No, of
very
course.
attentive and
No,
smart
it's not
people.
like people you've talked to many times just actively ignore all of this.
and there are people who dislike Family of Blood. I don't trust them, so.
Oh
trust them
yeah,
either.
oh that's just pain.
Yeah, but guys, Joe was a fucking racist. It's totally not because of the context of the time period they're currently in. She's a
Racism
racist.
decades ago. No.
How
don't
could you
say
like a
it.
racist?
No, but Callum, that's not the problem. The problem is that the Doctor is crying because he wants to be human. That's cringe.
Oh my god.
I hate that. Like,
Cringe.
that's the entire argument I've heard. It's like it's cringe, but it's
That's all
kind
they
of like,
no, Marcus.
But,
That's
like,
what you
can you-
always
can you-
say is that it's cringe.
yeah. Like, can you please, for the love of God, like elaborate a little? It's not cringe. It's amazing.
It's
Like,
cringe because the actor tries too hard.
Yeah, see, because those same people, they're fine with the scene in Father's Day where the Ninth Doctor's just like,
They honestly would prefer
life I
if
could never
Tennant
have.
was like more subtle, quote unquote, that he wasn't
Yeah.
tearing up and he was just saying the things he said anyway,
No,
but
but
he
it-
wasn't emoting.
like it's like
They find
you
that
know
more subtle.
that scene in Father's Day where he talks to that couple and says, you meet on a street corner. I could never have a life like that. Apparently, that's better because he's not crying.
I mean,
Why would
it's
he
good
cry
as
in that
well. I
moment,
like
though?
that character.
Yeah, but why
moment.
would he cry in that moment?
Yeah, like
Uh-huh.
it's not like he's a human who's about to become a Time Lord, and he's seen what the Time Lord is. Like, he's been told, and it's like, am I gonna have to live that life? Am I gonna need to be that person?
I love how they
sounds so alone.
justify why John Smith is scared because they show what the Doctor does after. I
Yep.
love that, brilliant.
fucking phenomenal. Oh, that episode is so fucking good.
Oh yeah, absolutely it is. Anyway, so so we're going to be covering 3 things in this video, hopefully, if we get through that in time. The first is Samuel Davis's video where he rewrites Doctor Who finales. I believe the ones he does in the video are Last of the Time Lords, Journey's End, Ranscore, and The Timeless Children.
Oh, what a quadruple!
Yeah, but they're
That's-
all 4 of them are very like. Well, I was gonna say divisive, but I don't think anyone likes Ranscore, so so
Alright,
There's
Jody's
someone.
fans probably like it, I suppose.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
people
I don't
who
know.
love every episode
I don't know.
of the Jodie era.
like the
It is a
the most
strange
the most positive like review I've seen of Ranscore is someone saying that it's just okay.
it's
I mean,
not,
it's the
no.
kind of episode that is just so incredibly forgetful, and it's like, I don't see how anyone could.
I've
like,
never
actually
seen
say
seen
great.
anyone give it above like a 7. I've never seen
Right.
anyone give it above a 7.
Even that's too high.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no,
I mean, I'd probably
I would
give it a 3.
I'd give it a fucking 2 out of 10. I think it's diabolical.
Yeah, it's
I
either 2
agree.
or 3.
It is really impressive how they just fucking make Graham out.
They
Well-
completely annihilate
it's-
Graham and the Doctor's
Well,
characters.
it's got 2 absolute cardinal sins. It has one of the biggest contrivances that's ever been written, with Tim Shaw going to Ranscore at the start, and then you got
Right.
literal character assassination for 2 of the leads. It's like you can't get worse than that.
Yay! Triple Graham.
Yeah, that's like, oh yes, I'm so proud of you, Graham. You put him in eternal torture.
Yeah, and then
instead
also
of-
beyond that, just speaking like personally, it's fucking boring as shit to watch.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, subjectivity is a fucking slog.
yeah. This is the kind of episode where it's just like nothing happens until the last 10 minutes, and then when it happens, you're like, oh, so that was. that's
Yep.
what the
And then
entire
also,
plot
in
was.
terms of authenticity, the plot is stolen from the Pirate Planet, and the resolution is stolen from Journey's End. So there you go.
Wait. You're telling me that Chibnall stole stuff from Doctor Who
What?
wears?
That's never
That
been-
has never happened.
That's never
before.
been proven before.
Yep, and then
Would
also
never-
another personal gripe I have with it, he wasted Mark Addy, which is a crime.
Yep. That is a crime.
The bloody Robert Baratheon, who's the most charismatic person ever, was boring as shit in Doctor Who, and that's such a crime.
Jeb said, I remember when it aired, and I forgot it was the season finale. Like that,
Didn't
yeah.
feel like
That
it.
Well,
episode
honestly,
felt like a
bloody,
finale.
even though Resolution isn't good either, that feels more like a finale than Ranscore. Because it's actually an actual,
Oh, yeah.
it's an actual tie-in to like Ryan's whole thing
There
about
are quote
you know,
unquote stakes. I don't think they're well done, but there's the idea of actual stakes.
well, in terms
I
of
guess.
in terms of characterization though, like it even though I don't think it's done well, it's very cookie cutter. It's an actual like resolution to Ryan's arc about Grace dying and meeting his dad again, which is
Yeah.
Yeah,
which
it
is
actually
more
feels like it's tying into the rest of the season in terms of like trying to finish a story.
yeah,
in a
and
way.
also
It's
just
not
like
done well.
and also just like the title Resolution actually makes sense for a finale anyway.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
saw
it
a lot
actually
of other
has,
episodes
and it
where
actually has a well-established. I mean, even though it's not done well, it has a well-established villain in it as well, as opposed to Ranscore, which doesn't. So yeah.
yeah, they have Teeth Monster.
Yeah.
He's great.
The monster that
He had
Onion
the
Boy.
Big onion.
Onion
He
Boy,
had the big onion in episode 1, so it's yes.
the monster that Rags would have done better. Unironically.
I mean, yeah. I sent in that clip of him a couple months ago when he talked about it.
I know it's crazy. It's fucking
Crazy how
wild.
people who actually care do better than people who don't.
Oh, I mean, I feel like Chris Chibnall cares. I just don't think he's very good.
Do you really?
That's very true.
Yeah.
I don't think he cares.
No, on the most recent.
I mean, considering he's leaving after 3 seasons, I'm more inclined to say he probably didn't care that much.
Well, you say that, but you know, you could chalk it up to him being sacked rather than choosing to leave. Even though he says that for PR.
Oh, didn't he say he had like a 5-year plan? So it does seem kind of like.
Well, when he leaves, it'll be 5 years technically since he was in the job.
That's
I
true.
guess.
That's true. But
yeah, that's
but
kind of what I think. So
that's true. I'm not
Didn't
sure.
say 5 seasons, did he?
exactly.
I suppose we'll
He's
never
saying
know.
fuck.
I suppose we'll never know. They will never release those details.
Fuck.
Unless they do unless down the line they do like a collection Blu-ray set for series 11 and 12 and Chris Chibnall
God,
reveals
Chibnall
about it.
was such a mess back in the day.
Dude, it'd be hilarious if there was like a writer's
bloody
commentary.
Lee Binding in his
Great.
Lee Binding in his rocking chair on Photoshop version like 2 million, doing the doing the cover for the Blu-ray, even though Blu-rays would probably be like, what's the word? Is it defunct or is it? Oh, what's the word? Obsolete. Blu-rays would be obsolete by that point. Yeah, and unfortunately, I think the show will probably be obsolete by then. But that's a story for another day.
Hey, if we get a good showrunner,
Yeah.
I believe we could turn things around.
So anyway, in terms of like Journeys in and Boomtown, we may cover it on an EDAR in the future, but
Most likely.
the thing is we'll probably have to reference it anyway in this video because they do talk about it. So I reckon we should start.
Yeah, I'd like the link.
Yeah, I've been a bit distracted, but I have the link now.
There we go.
Alright.
Put that there.
Join.
Let's see. I'm very excited for these great arguments.
Are you ready
Well,
for the hot takes?
okay,
and the
I will say.
rewritten?
So I talked about Broke Cannon. That's cool. There's also another video on his channel that I really like. Samuel Davis can get, in my opinion, a little bit pretentious sometimes, but I do think that he does make some good points. There's a video on his channel called what's it called? It's called like The 10th Doctor is a Christmas Song. And because he references things that are actually well written, it actually makes sense. Like, it's a really well done video. Obviously, it's done in a very sort of, the 10th Doctor's character arc is this poetic Christmas song and does like a whole metaphor allegory for it.
Sounds
Which is
okay.
a way of doing it. But like I said,
Right.
because the references he makes in it are actually good, it actually makes for a really good video explaining his point about it and how, what the 10th, why the 10th Doctor's character is really good and how you can compare it to it being like a Christmas song. And in fact, he even references the song for 10 from the Christmas Invasion and how the lyrics in that song foreshadow Doomsday. and it's really cool. But so like yeah, Samuel Davis does have some really good critiques, but I also think he has some, in my opinion, I think he has some bad critiques as well. Like there was a Twitter thread we had, I think it was about a month ago, about Hellbent, where he was trying to convince people that it was good. And
I remember.
It's good.
yeah,
Okay.
and he was saying things like, oh, the twist that it's revealed that the Doctor in Heaven Sent was committing self-harm rather than being heroic is brilliant. And I'm like, well, no. and then
Do you remember the scene where Clara says for the Doctor to get up his ass and move on and win?
Yeah.
I wonder what she means by that.
Yeah, and so
And I wonder what the theme is.
the best bit though was when Jay commented on that tweet saying, "Yeah, but Sam, have you considered Heaven Sent good, Hellbent bad?"
You know what? I hadn't considered that.
Yeah. But yeah, Samuel Davis does have some pretty wild takes. Like they gave Kill the Moon a 10 out of 10, which is pretty wild.
What?
And I think they said like I think they said that Twice Upon a Time was the best allegory for suicide they've ever seen. I'm like, what?
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 I'm like, what? More than Vincent and the Doctor?
Oh yeah, that really good, well written episode.
And I think they said, apart from the Family of Blood, the Regeneration episodes are New Who are the best ones. So like Parting the Ways, End of Time Part 2, Time of the Doctor, and Twice Upon a Time.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I think they said that the Time of the Doctor is the best ever Doctor Who story. Because
it's not though. It's really shit.
And I think I heard them.
Time of the Doctor?
Yeah, I heard them.
Time of the Doctor's bad.
I heard them say something like, "Oh, it's a college thesis about how Doctor Who is for children."
Oh yeah, the episode where the Doctor slaps Clara's ass.
Okay, I like that episode. How? It's not good.
It's really bad.
I don't see how you could say it's the best. No, that's fucking retarded.
There are so many better stories.
Oh, yep. Take it.
Even within Matt Smith's era, there are so many better stories.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, like if you just get the Doctor's wife, boom, that's better than.
So much
But
better.
Marcus, it's not an allegory for what the show's about though. So it's not better.
Not every episode needs to be an allegory for what the show is about.
No,
Hot
we
take.
need metaphors.
Yeah.
Hey, Doctor Who is full of metaphors. To be fair, like rewatching
where the
season
Doctor was
4.
appears naked. Yep.
Yeah.
It's just
I mean, church,
Oh, yeah.
Clara. We're naked in church.
I
Oh, the
really
silence
hate how
there,
the
by the
Doctor
way.
just becomes completely
Remember how the Time Lords give him
socially
an
inept.
Remember how the Time Lords give the Doctor another regeneration cycle through a random crack in the sky because Clara says that they love him?
Yeah,
Remember
if you
that?
truly love the Doctor, and then Timeless Shit is like he never needed that.
Remember
so
how
the crack in the
Clara-
sky just
Remember how
exists.
Clara is the impossible girl I've seen every Doctor, and in that Time of the Doctor episode, does everything she can to help save him and help him change, and then the next episode, Deep Breath, she's not happy that he's changed.
Yeah.
He's old. He's old now.
Well, couldn't you argue that it's different versions of Clara that have seen the Doctor and that version?
No,
'Cause
she
that's
pretty
how
much
it-
she is very much aware of the fact that he changes faces.
No,
from,
yeah,
like,
but it's
young
not
to
like just the
old,
fact that he
time and
changes
again.
faces, but it's the fact that that version of him changed faces, you know? Because
Yeah,
that's the
dumb.
version that
Oh,
was
because
weird.
well, because her
Because it's
Doctor
kinda like
changed
just- 'cause-
rather than
Yeah, and it's kind of like when Rose was upset that the Doctor changed faces, though with Rose
She
it's
didn't
much
know.
better.
she didn't know though. She didn't know what
She had no context.
she didn't know what
No,
regeneration
even if
was
you
until
do
it happened.
have context, you're not gonna.
I'm gonna push back on that. I'd say
Well,
I have to
in the
disagree.
beginning of Journey's End, Rose knew that the Doctor would change faces. She wasn't happy about it when he was regenerating and until he got
Because
it's-
she's in love with the 10th Doctor though. That's why.
Yeah, that's like very specific version of the character.
Oh, that's kind of thing. Like Clara would be like attached to this version of the Doctor. And
But the
when he
previous
changed-
episode, she's literally like, "You change, you pop back up with a new face."
Oh yeah, it's kind of this thing where like I'd prefer you for you to not die.
If
rather
the
than,
if the only context
okay.
was what you were saying, then it would be true, but it's not. Like, if it,
Right.
if it
I still need to rewatch. Like I'm still in season 4 in my rewatch, so I'm not sure.
well,
It's just,
like I'm saying, if the only context was the Clara was in love with the 11th Doctor, then and the change upset her, then that would be true. But that's not the only context. There's lines in the previous episodes that contradict what she says in Deep Breath.
right. Yeah, I
He's
don't
also
remember,
the original Impossible Girl, by the way. She's the cause of it all.
And also met Tennant and John Hurt in Day of the Doctor. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a good point because she would have met the different versions of the Doctor, so she would.
Yep.
Also, Jenna Coleman's
accessible.
favorite Doctor is David Tennant. So yeah, plot holes.
She's based.
They're
Jenna
based, she's
Coleman's
pretty based on.
I found it so funny
Jenna
though because
Coleman is great. I feel really bad for her.
I do too.
it's funny though because I saw and it was like a Comic-Con with her and Karen Gillan getting interviewed, and someone asked them who's their favorite Doctor, and Karen's like, well, that's easy for me, it's obviously 11. And then she says, well, it must be hard for you, Jenna, because you were with two Doctors and you got to choose between them, and the one she chose wasn't one of them.
I paired with them once.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, she ain't wrong.
Yes, 10 is the best.
Well,
Wow.
it was that kiss on the hand at the end of the episode. That's what sealed
Yeah,
the deal.
she was just wounded.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, we should probably carry on.
Yeah, let's get on with Samuel Davis's critique, huh?
Around the
Yes.
phrase Ex Machina on this channel.
Okay.
Oh no.
We've already.
Oh.
I'm already pausing. So
So we know
guys,
he's gonna talk about this season 3 finale.
Yeah,
and he's
so-
already
Yep.
saying Deus Ex Machina.
just
so...
for context, a lot of people throw this word around, and they also throw around the word like the colloquial term Davies Ex Machina to reference what he does in his finales, which almost every single time, apart from I'd say maybe one of them, they're pretty wrong because Rose becoming Bad Wolf, the Void stuff, and the thing that happens last of the Time Lords. I can't think of the word for it, but it's like the Archangel Network being disrupted by telepathic
Saiyan
thoughts.
The telepathic field.
Yeah, all of that is actually set up and earned and isn't a Deus Ex Machina. Now the thing with the Journey's End one is that it's not good, but it's not a Deus Ex Machina, if that makes sense. Like where it's like,
It's not a Deus Ex Machina. The problem is
Yeah.
how where the control
Yeah,
panel
it's-
is. And
it's-
everything,
it's-
but
it's the
Donna
same-
Having super
it's the
intelligence is not Deus Ex Machina.
yeah, it's the same thing as the other ones in that it's not a Deus Ex Machina, but the actual execution is problematic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, it's the same thing in End of Time Part 2, like when he shoots the machine. That's not a Deus Ex Machina, it's something that's actually set up. So yeah, I see this thrown around a lot, and it's not
thrown around a lot.
It annoys me the most about season 3 because it's set up really well, and it's
Arguably-
they make it
Arguably-
abundantly clear how it works.
Arguably, in terms of setup, it's actually the best one.
Yeah, and I'd say even like from my rewatch, season 3 has the best finale. Probably.
Really? You think it's better than Parting the Ways?
I think so. I remember Parting the Ways having like 1 or 2 contrivances.
Okay.
Whereas Last of the Time Lords I thought was like really airtight.
Oh yeah, I mean they are my top 2 finales, but I do think
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I don't even know which one I like more. Because you have the payoff of the Doctor just going like, what are you, a killer or a coward? Coward any day. And it's like,
that's one of the best scenes in the show. That's one of the best scenes in the show. Oh my god.
Yeah, so it's like it's really hard to pick which one I like more, and I think his
I think
last two roles are
if I were
fantastic
to
as well.
if I were to give some 2 cents, I think that characterization wise, Parting of the Ways 100% does everything it can with every character in it, whereas Last of the Time Lords does.
Yeah, I also really like what they do with Captain Jack in Parting Ways. It's
Yeah,
really good.
yeah.
But
So-
I think he has a really neat arc in season
Well,
1.
also with like you think about like Linda, you think about all the people below, you think about Rose, Doctor, Jackie, Mickey, like everyone. Last of the Time Lords, the characters that are important are used brilliantly. I guess you could say that there's a couple of them that are a bit filler, like Leo Jones. If I were to nitpick, I would say that's probably the only thing really, that I could make a difference between them. Is that the
I
character?
mean, yeah, I could definitely see that, but it's more like we know that she has a brother, and we have to account for him in some way. And it's pretty
Yeah,
much
yeah.
it, you know.
I know. Some people say that Jack being tied up is not like a full use of him, but I don't know. I think it works. Especially when you consider that at the very end of the story, he's the one that destroys the paradox machine. That's pretty important. And then also the fact that it ties together like a double bootstrap paradox, if you interpret it that way, with him suggesting that he might be the face of Bo. Like, that's a whole nother thing that happens in that episode that's amazing. Love that.
Yeah, I really like the face of Bo reveal.
I love it.
It's really strange, but
I love it because it's left up to interpretation. Either way you look at it, it works. If he's not the face of Bo, it still works. If he is, it still works.
Yeah, and if he's the face of Bo, it's like, oh, so that's how he knew about all these events. It's like, wow, and he was there with the doctor.
Yeah,
and I think it makes the face of Bo's death really more meaningful.
Yeah,
than,
if
than Gridlock.
If he is the face of Bo, the series arc is a double bootstrap paradox, and that's pretty fucking cool, I think.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I just really fucking like both of them. So either way, yeah,
They're both great.
Anyway, I have seen this video before, by the way, and I remember his fix for Last of the Time Lords being really annoying. So we'll get on with that, I suppose.
Oh, great. That's going to be fun.
Doctor Who's 90% Deus Ex Machina.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
90%.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Seems
That is very high.
scientifically accurate.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say he's being hyperbolic, but with the let's say that he means that most of the episodes the conflict is resolved by Deus Ex Machina. Like if you just look at season 1, for example, would you say that the Dalek that the Doctor doesn't kill, that conflict being resolved, is a Deus Ex Machina? Because we see that Dalek going through an arc during the entire episode with Rose.
Yep.
And that's what makes him change. That's why the Doctor doesn't kill him. So it's not a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah,
So it's just
I know this is a very New Who specific video, but he did say Doctor Who, and I imagine he's talking about the whole franchise. If he is,
Right.
I can't think. I mean, I could be wrong. I can't think of a single classic Who story that has a Deus Ex Machina in it. I can't think of a single one. That's a lot. That's a lot of stories. There probably is one somewhere, but I literally can't think of a single one. Even the weakest stories don't have a Deus Ex Machina in them. They're bad for other reasons.
Fires of Pompeii, what makes them win? I forgot.
They don't win.
Oh yeah,
wouldn't say
because
they
it was
win.
meant to happen. Yeah, it was meant to happen.
It was
And,
meant to happen, but the reveal is that the Doctor makes it happen.
Yeah, so they don't actually win. So they have to
No,
cause the explosion.
they totally don't win.
Yeah, because I was trying to remember
I'll-
if they had
Actually,
to stop it. But yeah, that makes sense.
Here's a bit of dramatic irony. There is a Deus Ex Machina in the episode he defended, though, in Hellbent.
So what would that be, Connor?
So Moffat invents a new piece of technology that hasn't existed before, to bring Clara back from the dead. And it's not been established, and because it's not been established, it means that it's out of character, that it hasn't happened before.
Yeah, if the Doctor had that thing before, why has he never used it?
Yeah,
And
like-
it's also really strange.
like-
It's like
So
we're
is
gonna
it
go
if
to
he
the
could have
moment
stayed
just
ad
before
free?
you died.
The
and
person-
freeze
yeah,
time. It's
yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
strange.
Pulling someone out of time like that never existed until the scene that it happened.
Yeah, I would definitely call that a
Never even
Deus Ex Machina.
referenced. Like, I know that they foreshadowed in dialogue that, things like I'm going to save my friend the only way I can, or like I'm going to tear down time to save Clara Oswald, blah 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 blah. But they never actually set up that specific thing on Gallifrey before.
You
that
would just think
episode.
you'd go back in time in the TARDIS or something.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway.
And that's not even a bad. A story can win you over with tone alone, and if a finale is so
Yeah, Deus Ex Machina is good when tone is good. Guys, just
No.
letting you know.
Deus Ex Machina are never good. It's literally a form of criticism.
played all of the correct emotional beats, it can be a great payoff, even if the logic...
The Void stuff is not a Deus Ex Machina. I'm sorry, it's not.
It
No,
could be
Deus-
great, even without logic.
It's not.
Wait, this. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna. Okay. Deus Ex Machina definition, because I'm pretty sure the definition is going for makes it's just entirely contradictory.
It's
An unexpected power event saving a seemingly hopeless situation, especially as a contrived plot device in a player novel. Okay, so the Void stuff is actually established from like the beginning of like it's part 1, right?
yeah,
Where it's established.
yeah, an army of ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then when it happens in Doomsday, it's like, no, that just makes sense. Like that's what they were fighting for. That's like establishing the stakes for the episode. That's not how that works. It's like if you're traveling between dimensions and you're not supposed to do it, like it's not supposed to be a thing that's supposed to happen, that can cause some weird things to happen to the universe. So if that's the case, would the Void actually work? Yes. So I don't really understand how that could be viewed as a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, Jeb makes a good point. Journey to the Center of the TARDIS has a Deus Ex Machina in it, and even and it thinks it can get away with it because it's self-aware, because it's got a big friendly button written on the thing.
Isn't it? I don't remember that episode at all. Isn't it that the TARDIS was helping them?
There's a crack in time in the TARDIS, and the big friendly button comes through, and he presses it, and it resets it.
Yeah, that is a Deus Ex Machina thing.
Yeah, it's completely bullshit. Anyway.
Yeah, Stephen Moffat does Deus Ex Machina.
There are still stories over the years that I will not give a free pass to. Chiefly...
Oh, don't show Big
What?
Bang. Don't show Big Bang.
Big Bang doesn't have a Deus Ex Machina.
Again, it's like, I've said before that I'm not a fan of the episode, but it's not a Deus Ex Machina. Like, that's not...
They actually set it up super
It's
well.
so established.
It's set up in it's set up in the 11th hour. It's set up in the 11th hour that the cracks in time function on memory. So
Yeah.
the
they constantly mention that during the season of how like even
Yeah,
fuck, I
so-
don't
so-
remember the
so
episode, but
Amy-
there's a moment where
Amy,
the doctor's talking to Amy and it's like just try to remember him the Rory, and then she just can't.
yeah, Amy bringing the Doctor back happens due to her remembering him. That's not a Deus Ex Machina. It's set up and paid off.
It's really well established. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's set up.
There's a lot of elements.
It's
There's a lot of great elements with Big Bang, like how like they set up different things how the Doctor can come back, like River knowing, like remembering and giving the book to Amy, which causes the trigger.
It's set up in that. It's like in the climax of 11th hour, where the Doctor's Amy's on the floor, and the Doctor says, all you have to do is remember.
Yeah.
That's when it's set up.
They establish it in Flesh and Stone, as I mentioned earlier,
Mm.
how the rules work.
Yeah.
There's multiple things that really.
If you're gonna criticize the episode, don't criticize something that it doesn't have.
The Big Bang is
Yeah,
great.
finales.
Big Bang
Today
is
I
great.
am self-isolating, and although it may border on fanfiction, like fanfiction adjacent, but I thought it could be a fun thought exercise to try and right some of the wrongs. Off the top of my head, off the cuff, try and fix some of these.
I mean, I
finales
agree with the thing in the
what is
center,
given
just
to
not
me.
the things on the
I
side.
may not be a writer, but I have the luxury of retrospect. The most glaring ones to me happen in the Davis and the Chibnall years.
What?
You're half right, but
I do agree that they happened in the Chimno years, but you're just gonna skip through Moffat.
You're gonna skip.
You're gonna mention
you're not going to
Deus
talk
Ex
about
Machina.
Series 6.
I mean,
Yeah, if we're gonna
that's
go to Deus Ex
interesting.
Machina, just go through his.
That is interesting because he gave the Wedding of Riversong a 1, so surely that would have gotten a mention. Like,
Yeah, unless you think it's bad, but it's not a Deus Ex Machina, I suppose.
I don't
Why
know.
do you think all the other stuff is Deus Ex
Well, I don't know. I
Machinas?
feel like
Because he's retarded.
I don't know. The Doctor revealing that he was a robot the whole time is kind of
that
the Deus
seems
Ex
like
Machina.
a big Deus Ex Machina.
That is a big Deus Ex Machina. It's just a cheap cop out. It's like, oh,
Moffat thinks he sets it up super well, but then if the thing is, the reveal is that it was cut before we got the actual reveal.
Yeah.
It's like
Also, name of the Doctor. How does the Doctor and Clara get out of his time stream? It's never explained.
Shut up.
I don't fucking know.
Shut up.
Mm.
Shut up. 50th anniversary coming. Woo.
How is Death in Heaven? Is it actually established that you can bring people back from the dead from the Neversphere? Like, you know, when Danny has a choice of coming back, but he chooses to bring back the child that he killed. Would you say that's a Deus Ex Machina? Would you say that works? It's been a long time since I've seen Death in Heaven, so I can't remember.
I haven't seen it in a long time. So
I'm sure I just really don't remember.
Mm.
I also don't like Danny, so...
No one does.
Well, you say that. Samuel Davis likes Danny Pink.
Racism.
Danny fucking sucks.
Samuel Davis says that Series 8's the best one.
It's not shit. Series 8 is shit.
I'm pretty sure I remember Nerdrotic in a stream of his saying that the best seasons of Doctor Who are 5 and 8, so people were just like that season for some reason.
I wouldn't even say 5 is the best season. I'd probably put.
Oh no, me neither. I'd just say 4 or 3.
Yeah, because it has the Hungry Earth in it, so it
1,
can't
3,
be
or
the best.
4. Yeah.
Anything that has the Hungry Earth and
yeah.
Cold Blood in it can't be the best, in my
I
opinion.
definitely agree, but season 3 has 42 and
Okay, fair.
shit,
Yeah.
what was their other retarded
Like
episodes?
42.
Well, you say that.
Lazarus Experiment.
The thing is, though, Marcus, is
Oh
that
yeah, Lazarus, yeah.
one thing that 42 has that the Hungry Earth and Cold Blood doesn't is the leads being characterized well.
Kinda. They kind of butchered the Doctor though because the Doctor's retarded during their episode.
What, when he looks into the sun?
Yeah. A lot of his plan during the episode is dumb. But one thing that I find it hilarious, I don't know if it was just Chibnall writing it or Russell T Davies inserted some shit in it, but the Doctor and Martha, they're always commenting on how retarded the crew is, and I find it hilarious because these people somehow they're been managing this ship and they're fucking really fucking dumb. But then you have the two main characters just commenting, "How dumb are you?" And I find it hilarious.
No, but
yeah,
that means
that's
it's
probably
self-aware, right?
Yes, genius. But
It almost makes you think
RTDR episode.
It almost makes you think it was on purpose. It's weird.
How did they get hired for this crew?
Yeah.
Yeah. The system is amazing. It's like, okay, so we're gonna do these questions, but I guess we don't remember them. And if you get one of them wrong, we got drunk and wrote the questions.
The thing is
was
that
when the crew was bigger, so I guess we just forgot the answers.
Well, the thing is
even though
that
we said we had
Chibnall easily, like, he basically establishes that well. He thought that it was working, that he wrote the crew intentionally as being dumb and having the Doctor and Martha comment on it, but then he didn't account for the fact of why they're dumb.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like, it's really impressive because 42 is just a ripoff of Impossible Planet, right? Like, it's pretty...
Well, it's funny because there's a film that came out the same year called Sunshine that has the exact same plot. It's very weird. Came out like a month before or something like that. It's very...
Well, but then the episode would have been done by then.
No, absolutely,
yeah, that is strange.
Absolutely. The thing is the Impossible Planet is inspired by Event Horizon, so it's possible that 42 may have also been inspired by Event Horizon.
Sure.
Also,
but the thing is, I think it's really impressive when you compare the two because Impossible Planet is fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And it has some really great characterization for the.
Well, the thing is, the Impossible.
These people that we know for 2 episodes.
The Impossible Planet was conceptualized by Matt Jones and 100% rewritten by Russell T Davies, and that's why it's so great.
Right.
Whereas Chris Chibnall wrote most of 42, and Russell inserted some character beats in there, like the Francine stuff, and like the bit at the end where the Doctor gives Martha the TARDIS key. Like, that's definitely Russell.
Oh yeah, and that moment.
And they're like the best parts of the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because the plot makes absolutely no sense, and everyone.
But
is just dumb.
I reckon the Hungry Earth is worse than 42, in my opinion.
Oh no, 42 for me is the worst episode in RTD's era. It's like a 2 out of 10.
Well, the Hungry Earth isn't.
Not think...
Well, the Hungry Earth isn't in RTD's era though.
Yeah, I know, but my point is, if it's the worst in RTD's era, and it's like a 2 out of 10, I don't think.
I think the Hungry Earth is a 2 out of 10.
Wow. Okay.
Fight, 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 fight.
I mean, I guess if you haven't seen Classic Who, your context for the Silurians will be different. But I have.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I have.
Oh, so that is a good point. Yeah.
Oh,
because
yeah.
The context may make
Yeah,
it a lot worse.
the
So that's definitely something that I need context for to really know for sure.
Silurians are absolutely destroyed in the Hungry Earth, like completely.
Right.
I mean, to be fair, in Warriors of the Deep, they already had some damage done to them, but the Hungry Earth basically assassinates them to the point where the entire concept behind them now means nothing. Like it's in the original story, the design is different, and it's done in a way where them looking so different and being so inaccessible to humans contributes to why they're prejudiced. Whereas in the Hungry Earth two-parter, they are so similar to us that it actually makes the humans look weirdly, almost like, I don't know if racist is the word, but it's
They're racist because they're green.
but it's literally like they're just scaly green humans that can communicate as well as us. So it's like, well, where is the prejudice coming from? And the only reason the prejudice is there is because the humans have been prejudiced towards them before. So,
Which, I mean, it's not like that it doesn't have precedent in real life, but I get what you mean, that it's made
I know
a
what you
lot
mean.
worse.
I know what you mean. Like the justification for why the humans are prejudiced against them isn't there anymore.
Right.
And like there's no excuse for why the communication physically can't happen in the Hungry Earth, whereas in the original Silurian story, the Silurians are so different that even communication would be near impossible. Like the only
It's like about this.
the only person
all you had to do from the beginning was sit down and talk.
yeah, the only person that can actually like realistically communicate with them is the Doctor, because he understands them.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, fuck the Hungry Earth. Hate that story.
Yeah, I can't believe we had to like someone actually defended it the other day on Twitter. We had to fucking.
Oh, Jimmy. Yeah, trying to tell us that Rory was daft, even though he's not.
He's a fool.
No, he's just socially awkward. He's not a fool. Also, Rory is actually socially awkward, but his 13 isn't. Well, I mean, at least.
Yeah, but
I mean,
and also the whole contrived death is so bad. Like fucking hell.
Ugh.
Oh yeah, I always remember that being strange. How that happens.
Rory is
It
just
does get
somewhere
the
off,
best scene.
not guarding the person for some reason.
It does get the best scene in the two-part.
Remember how the motivation for the Doctor going down isn't because Amy's there; it's because there's a countdown timer. Like,
Is that what happens?
I'm
remember that.
pretty sure he forgets about Amy and he's talking about like the.
I'll have to rewatch that part.
I
'cause
can't
don't
remember if it's
but
actually no.
obviously it could be there.
To be fair, I can't remember if it's specifically because of the countdown timer, but I know that the countdown timer is in that scene. At least it's in the vicinity of that scene. But when he's talking to the crew about going down, he doesn't mention anything about "I need to save my friend." He just talks about the plan as if it's, you know,
yeah.
as if it's just any other plan.
Yeah, but it's funny you asked that because on the last EDAR, me and Connor actually asked that question: what was like the best Chibnall era Chibnall episode? And we kind of settled on the fact that it could be Power 3.
Could be.
Yeah,
I
talked to Jeb recently, and I did say Power 3 is probably his best.
I mean, the thing is
really
like
low bar.
the Hungry Earth and Dinosaurs in a Spaceship both have like character assassination in them, so it can't be either of those.
Yes, I hate Dinosaurs in a Spaceship. That final scene, it just the Doctor just fucking killing.
I think my argument was that I think why Power 3 is actually the best one is because Rory's dad is actually a good character. I actually like his sort of.
And also, I think
my
my rebuttal was that I think Francine is better than Rory's dad, but then she's not as in it as much. She's not in 42 as much as.
She's not part of the plot. Rory's dad is, and he's actually like really fun. I really like Rory's dad in that episode.
Yeah, and the plot in Power 3, it's bad, but it doesn't get terrible until the end. So like most of the episode, it's not just like pure garbage in terms
most
of
it is just the intrigue of what the cubes are.
Yeah, and then when you get the answer, it's like, oh, that's dumb, really fucking dumb.
Oh yeah, no, the plot of the Power 3 is garbage. And speaking, and now we loop back around to this video. Deus Ex Machina, fucking magic sonic screwdriver saves the day.
Yeah.
You can just solve the plot.
Kate Stewart is
I don't
bland.
remember.
Is bland.
I don't remember what she was like.
Like she's nothing.
Is that
Yeah.
her first episode?
Yeah, it is.
Yes,
it
that
is.
is the first
It is.
episode.
And actually,
that's
bad.
bad.
I would say that's not just limited to Power 3. I think she's pretty just bland in every appearance. I can't think of.
I would actually say
Like-
that,
like-
yeah.
I like her actor, but she's not really. She doesn't really have a personality.
Well, yeah, Gemma
right?
Graber's
No.
fine, but I think they ride way too much on the fact that the Brigadier is her father, and that's kind of her only real character trait. That's,
Yeah, she doesn't actually really have a
Established.
character.
no.
Yeah, she's. I do think she has a bit in Zygon invasion version, whatever.
That's her
When
last appearance, I think.
dealing with. Yeah, when she's dealing with Bonnie, I think you can say a lot about her morals from that episode.
Possibly.
Yeah, but that's like the most we get, and it's
I-
like you said,
I
it's her
st-
last episode.
Yeah, but then again, like I think that's quite a bad story anyway.
Oh, yeah, I don't think it's great, but
Not
but I do think-
a terrible story. It's better than the Power 3, I think. Oh, actually, no, that's a good question. Oh, not sure.
I do think it's better than Power 3. Just that speech alone has way better characterization than Power 3.
Well, you say characterization, but I have issues with that in terms of the plot. I don't actually believe that would be a solution. I feel like it's a situation where it's something that I can believe the Doctor would think would work, but I don't think that it would actually work in reality.
You think it would be out of character for Bonnie too?
No, I think it's unconvincing for the scenario that solution would actually fix the problem at hand. I think it's unrealistic and not believable. But I do think it's believable that the Doctor would say that speech, though. I do think that everything he says in that speech does line up with what he believes. It's just that it's a scenario where the actual implications of the Zygons being on Earth is a lot more complicated than just stop fighting each other.
I do think it's maybe a first step. Sit down and talk. I think the resolution could have been a bit better, but to start with sit down and talk is
it's kind of like
a good way.
it's kind of like a bit like, I know I'm kind of spoiling a little bit, but it's a bit like how in the first ever Silurian story, the Doctor is trying to resolve a conflict and have them both live concurrently on Earth, and he doesn't. Like the situation can't be solved for the reasons that are given, and so the Doctor is heartbroken by the fact that the Silurians were killed. And so it's kind of like that, where the Doctor has a very similar point of view in the Zygon two-parter, but the actual point that he makes actually does work in the story, whereas I don't actually believe that it would. I don't think it's believable that the scenario that he wants is realistic. I think it's a dream of a scenario of peace that he thinks would be best, but it's not one that would actually go down.
I think it could have been neat if you have because you said just sit down and talk, and then you see them talking, but then like Bonnie can't reach an agreement with Cage.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, Doctor, sorry, we just can't do this. We just can't coexist. And then the Doctor like takes the Zygons to like a different planet or something to try to just help the situation. But then you have a scene where the Doctor talks to Cage, and it's like you could have had it better. Like you could have done better. You could have tried more.
Yeah, it's
coexist
a
with
bit
them.
of a straw man of war, is what I'm saying. Is that it
Yeah.
implies that the only factor is the motivation behind the fighting. There's a lot more to it than just that, especially when you
When
take
you have something like World War One, especially, it's like, well, it's not just that clear cut. It really depends on a lot of factors. So you just can't sit down and talk.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go on with the video.
Is this my bias at play? Maybe, but I also just wouldn't know what to say.
Oh, speaking, yep.
Stories.
Fat bias, Mo-fat bias. That's hilarious. I'm sorry. He's gonna complain about the best era of the show because he's biased against Moffat. It's towards Moffat. That's really fucking dumb. Okay.
So yeah, I guess we're no Series 6 or 7 talk.
I'd rewrite the shit out of season 7. That shit is wow.
Oh, I think everybody would.
Yeah. Dear Lord.
Trust me, he's done some stinkers. In terms of
Oh! Did he just put
Wait.
Hellbent on the screen? He did.
Uh,
He did.
stories,
Or was he
I'm trying to start
referring
some
to them?
stinkers.
He said he referred to them as stinkers.
Wait, hold on.
Interesting.
Oh,
he
wait,
mu-
so isn't there a song Name of the Doctor
he
and Hellbent?
he must have changed his mind on Hellbent because since then he's decided that he really likes it.
Okay.
Why?
I wonder what the reasoning why.
He used to be a normal human being, and now he's not.
He used to be normal.
I'm not sure if either of you would agree with this. I would probably, if I was doing this specific image here and I picked 3 bad Moffat finales, I think I might choose Death in Heaven before Name of the Doctor. Unless, of course, you count both parts. Because in that case, if you're including Dark Water, I
don't know which is worse because I haven't really thought about
I think
which
if you
one's worse that much.
if you include
Yeah.
Dark Water, the Series 8 one's better. But if you don't include Dark Water, then the Series 7 one's better. Does that make sense?
I think so. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I think I'd agree with that, just going from memory, but it's been a long time since I watched Series 8. So.
Yeah. One thing I will say about both Name of the Doctor and Death in Heaven, though, is the lead actor playing the Doctor has a really good performance in both stories. Like, Name of the Doctor is absolutely one of Matt Smith's best performances, I think. And then Dark Water, Death in Heaven is probably one of Capaldi's best performances. Even if there's tisms with the characterization.
Yeah, I'd agree
In
with that.
terms of series finale, today I'll be covering Last for Time Lord.
So, like, I find it interesting. I don't know. I just find it interesting how Last of the Time Lords is paired with stuff like Ranscore and Timeless Children. I think that's a
that really irks me.
Time
Also,
Lords,
how is he going to
Journey's
rewrite
End,
all of this in
Battle
16
of
minutes?
Ranscore out of Colonoscopy, and The Timeless Children.
If it's
Okay,
small
rules.
changes.
Are there rules?
Rules?
I can't rewrite.
Rules? I didn't know rules existed. Kind of rules.
Rules are for stinkers.
Write the entire episode. For the most part, I have to play with elements introduced in the story or make a tiny little script adjustment. That could be something quite foundational to the story, but only little details. Ideas on top of it.
I don't
Number
really
two,
say you
these
can class
episodes
them
do
as
not have
little if
unlimited
they like
runtimes.
affect
The reason a
everything.
lot of these issues exist in the first place is to get it in that 50-minute mark. So if I'm adding something, that means it has to replace existing scenes. And last of all, be nice, play nice. When someone's putting themselves out there creatively, even if it's just armchair script editing like this, it's a bit more personal.
You're allowed to
What?
criticize
No.
something without insulting
No,
the
I'm
other
allowed to
person.
criticize whatever the fuck I want. Stop being a faggot.
It's your right. It's your right, Samuel Davis. You're allowed to criticize whatever you want. It's not an insult. to
No, we are here to say he has no rights
you're putting
whatsoever.
you're putting our ideas out on the internet. You're gonna be like, oh no,
Yeah, like
see,
if you confronted
Don't make fun of my fan fiction.
if you confronted the people that were involved in making it like face to face and did it, then you might be invading their personal space a bit. But if you're just doing it, like if you're just putting out your criticisms on the internet, you absolutely have the valid right to do so. There's nothing wrong with doing that. It's actually like law. I'm pretty sure it's like fair use law.
Dude, if Lucy is the film that I hate the most in the world. If I talked to the writer, I'd just be like, dude, why? But like, I wouldn't be angry at him. I wouldn't insult him. It's like same thing. It's not personal. I just hate what he made. Oh yeah. So I mean, that's the kind of thing because like I say this shit. I say kill yourself a lot, but it's like always joking. It's like no, just dude, I don't really care about you as a person. I just think what.
Well, a lot of the time when you actually ask the people involved at making it of why things happen, they will often explain. Like, you know, sometimes, like for example, I was watching the special features documentary making of for the story Warriors of the Deep, and it was talking about how in the process of writing it, they only had very limited time because Margaret Thatcher was using the BBC studios, and so they had to push the production forward and have it earlier. And so there was less time to write the script. And so in every time that Eric Sayward would, because it was a Johnny Byrne story, but Eric Sayward was the script editor, every time that he would submit a draft, the continuity advisor, Ian Levine, would point out like, oh, here's like 12 continuity errors. And so, you know, Eric Sayward would go back and try and fix it, and then he would submit it again, and then Ian Levine would say, well, there's more continuity errors. But it just got to a point where eventually they ran out of time, and they just had to put the script through and go put it into production. It's like, well, Eirich Saber's like, well, I know there is these continuity errors, but we're on a crunch of time. I can't actually fix this because we have to get the show made. And so the reason why Warriors of the Deep has those errors isn't because Eirich Saber wasn't trying to fix them. It's because he didn't have time to fix them.
Right.
And so that doesn't mean that Eirich Saber's writing was bad in terms of like what he wanted to do and what he could do. It wasn't that he didn't notice the errors. It's that he was on a deadline. And so this is the thing, is like sometimes when you ask writers about why things are the way they are, they'll reveal that there may be a reason for why they happen that is beyond them not noticing them, if that makes sense.
Or if you're Jordan Peele, you're just gonna say it's allegory and whatever.
Yeah. And like even then, like there's even mistakes that can happen. Like there can be miscommunication between the writing and the production team, like in terms of what they're trying to do. That can happen as well.
Yeah, maybe the writer and director aren't the same, and the director changes something from the script.
So like even if what we're doing is we're criticizing the end result, that doesn't necessarily mean that we think that we blame everything on the person that wrote it. This is why we would ask them questions about how things happened. So yeah, it's not insulting to criticize someone's work on the internet.
I love tinkering.
Honestly, it's
so maybe in the comments below we can even play around these.
It's very helpful to criticize shit. I'd much rather someone watch my videos and just criticize the shit I've done rather than just be supportive. And I think I try to do that with most people.
Well, you can be both actually. You can be both. Like, for example, if I had a draft for a story and I passed it on to like you two and Jeb to criticize it for like continuity, for example, you could say to me, okay, on one hand, here is all the issues that with your story. You need to fix these. But then on the other hand, you could also say, we are very supportive of your project. We really want you to succeed. You can do both things.
Oh yeah, I have a friend who sent me a script that I finished proofreading like a week ago. That I really, really liked, but I also mentioned a lot of the issues I had in terms of how the story develops.
Yeah,
you
you could very easily say like, I really like this story that you're writing, and then also add on top of that, these are the issues with it that I think you should fix. Like that's
and it's
that
kind of, and the thing he said to me is like, I've been the most helpful person in terms of proofreading his script that he's talked to yet. And it's like, it's because like I don't really sugarcoat it. I just say it as is. I think that's a lot better than just saying, oh no, see, I respect this person, and so I'm not going to criticize them or
but what you guys are doing, you're denying them their vision. You are saying that their vision is wrong. Therefore it is bad.
No.
I deny a lot of creators' visions, to be fair.
I think that if anything, criticizing is usually when you say, I really like your vision and I want it to work.
Yeah, because when you're saying like this part doesn't work, it's like very like you could say this and this and this and doesn't work, but like I like the concept, for example. But when it's something where like it doesn't work at all, I'd say you just like you gotta rebuild from the ground up. It's much more.
Yeah, you gotta scrap this thing if it just fundamentally just doesn't.
Yeah, well, for example, like I think that let me think of a good example. I think what's like a badly written story. I think that Stephen Moffat's vision for Series 8 is phenomenal. I think the actual idea that he has for that series is something that, if it was executed brilliantly, it would probably be my favorite ever. I would criticize it because I think there's problems that hold it back. But that doesn't mean that I don't like the vision. In fact, I love the vision. I think the actual concept behind the series is brilliant. And so, me criticizing Series 8 does not mean that I'm stopping Moffat from having his vision. It means that I actually think that his vision is something that I support and I want it to be good.
It
has a lot of like really interesting ideas. It's just when he puts it to paper is when the issues start to arise.
The only like off the top of my head, the only actual vision that he had that I think is really bad in concept is some of the stuff he did with Clara. Because I think at a fundamental level, just even having that idea kind of ruins the show. But for the most part, a lot of his ideas are actually really, 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 really good. But it's just the execution.
Like most of his all of his ideas in the RTD era are just
absolutely
very creative,
unbelievable,
very creative. And then Series 5 is like he clearly wanted to do something big, and I think he managed to pull it off very well. As it went on, though, he got a bit too creative because he clearly couldn't handle it all.
Yeah, he wanted to be too big, but he was also working with
a
lot.
Again, like the concept of the silence is amazing. It's like one of his.
It's really cool.
Yep.
Like the whole silence monster is on par with all the other ones that he did before that in terms of like concept. It's just execution is the issue.
Yeah, execution is very bad.
Like what they fucking electrocute that lady in the bathroom, and then
For no reason,
and then they never do it again. So weird.
God, it looks so easy.
Well,
to
actually,
kill
no.
people,
I think
yet
there
they
is.
just don't.
I think there is points where they do use that power again, like in the finale, but it's just because they like I don't know, they're going mad. But
yeah, that is true.
I think there's a specific
they
shot.
take their sweet ass time killing Rory.
Yeah, I think there's like a shot in the Wedding of a Song where they're just like they're just like no, and they're like the electricity's
They're
going.
doing their weird walk.
Yeah. Anyway.
Stories, see what works and what doesn't, and try and find more satisfying endings. Okay, so, for example, I don't like the ending of the episode Smile. It has a literal red button resolution. From where the plot hasn't been progressing naturally, the Doctor just fixes it in a blinding flash of light. And then explains how very, very clever he is, with one of those
here's the
charming,
thing.
enigmatic power.
With that, he gets the context of what he needs to do in that moment. Like before, he had no idea what was going on. Learned that it was meant to be a place where people go into.
It's only a rushed ending in terms of pacing and in terms of having the sonic screwdriver be a plot device.
Yeah.
The actual ending itself isn't like nonsensical though. Like that actually works.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's nonsensical at all.
Yeah, it's only rushed in terms of pacing and the plot device element. Really, It's not like the Power of 3 where it actually doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not on that same level where it's just completely nonsensical. It makes total sense, and he explains it very, I'd say, relatively well, why he did what he did and what he wants the humans to do based on what he's done.
Yeah,
which I think is an interesting idea. It's it's an interesting way of like.
Yeah. It's like he's like
go forward.
I'm not going to dictate your society. I'm going to give you a second chance to get things right. I think that's very Doctorish, actually. Especially the 12th Doctor.
I'd say so. I think Smile is an okay episode.
I think it's good. I really like it, especially for characterization.
It's around that 6 and 7 mark, I'd say.
I think characterization is really strong in it for the most part with the Doctor and Bill.
I think Bill was actually.
Yeah, not a fan of the browser history joke though. Never have been, never will be.
I've never never find that funny. I found it funny in 11th Hour because it was about Jeff, not about the Doctor. But for some reason, Moffat then put that on to him for some reason, which actually is kind of contradictory.
Yeah, I don't know why they thought that was a thing. And then they had it in Twice Upon a Time. They had bloody David Bradley look into Sonic Sunglass and say, "Watch browser history."
That was legit cringe. That was actually cringe.
Or David Bradley.
Yeah, man. He's so great.
Hey, great stuff, but what if I just made one tiny adjustment? And in this version of the script, the realization that the emoji bots are sentient living creatures also ties into their primary function to need happy, positive emotions from people. The creatures are sentient, but completely repressed in their emotions. They and the Earth have experienced a horrible tragedy, and to fix them, they have to be shown how to cry. The frowny face is not to be feared. Giving the
What the fuck are you talking about?
What? What are you on about? They need to learn how to cry.
Robots,
I'm really confused on what he wants this payoff to be.
Yeah. I guess
don't think that's
what he wants to do, or it's like he would want to hint more about this stuff before.
I guess we'll have to
the resolution, but
I guess we'll have to press play and find out.
The human survivors are to properly grieve for their fallen planet, and then in turn
Why do they
teaching
need to
these
grieve?
new life forms the full range of emotions, the nuances that no one was there to show them. I turned it off, then
What?
on again. Yeah, it's a cute, funny line.
Okay, having an extra set of emojis does not make you nuanced. It just means that you're it just means that you're a little bit less binary than you were before. I don't think that's how it works, Sam. I don't think having 3 emojis rather than 2 is nuanced.
I don't really remember
The whole point of it is that because the emoji bots function on binaries determined by like a machine or a computer, it means that
Right.
the interaction between humans and emoji bots is complicated because the humans have to work with the limitations that the emoji bots have. But just adding one more emoji where they have crying as a thing doesn't actually solve this issue, Sam. That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna, you know what this
And also,
this resolution that he wants, it's genuinely the
And also,
mercy thing with Davros in series 9.
yeah,
It's genuinely the same thing.
personally, I think that would actually be less satisfying than having the Doctor say to the humans, "These are the limits that the emoji bots have. It will never get, they will never become more than what they already are. So I'm putting the challenge up to you humans to be able to work with these conditions that the emoji bots are under. It's not their fault that they're like this. It's just that it's the way they are." I think that works so much better than adding sadness to the robots.
Crying is cringe.
Yeah.
That's just
Well,
strange.
2 details changed. You could have done that very gradually throughout the episode. Use your runtime. That's how I would handle the ending, but it's a very small adjustment I made. So let's get started.
And it's not
Last
very
of
good.
the Time Lords. His script rife with Davis Ex Machinas.
Oh wow.
Dude, shut the fuck up.
No.
No, we got Emmy
Wait, so
you might
he- so-
actually have
wait, so
some
he's saying
good
they-
points.
He's saying Davis Ex Machina, so he's referencing more than one, other than Super Saiyan Doctor. What?
Well, that's the whole meme. That's the meme that people on Twitter have like just sort of like gathered, like, oh, Davis Ex Machina.
No, yeah, but the point is he said it plural, so I wonder, other than Super Saiyan Doctor, what else he could mean.
But Super
Did he just say it was, like,
Super
rife?
Saiyan
Did he
Doctor, Super Saiyan Doctor isn't a Davies Ex Machina.
Did you say like the episode is like rifled with like Ex Machinas?
Well, he said
Yeah.
there's he said it's full of Davis
let
Ex
me- let
Machinas,
me-
and my issue is what
Let me
would
run
be
that
more
back
than
and
one?
see.
Because the only thing I could think of that someone would say is maybe the paradox machine, but it's explained how it works. And I remember that clearly because when I was watching, I asked Neb why people think this episode is bad. And I was like, well, I don't think they explained really well how the paradox machine works. And literally, as he sent me that message, they were explaining how the paradox machine worked. In the episode.
No, but Marcus,
I
it's not,
remember that
it's
clearly.
it's not delivered in painstaking exposition like Chris Chibnall would do it though.
Yes, I'm sorry. Christian is
Yeah,
much
just-
better than RTD, yes.
Yes, Charlie. Yeah, I just want to listen to what he said just now. If he was like saying this, the episode is like filled with Ex Machinas.
I think so. We
But
can
let's get
replay it
started.
for sure.
Last of the Time Lords. His script rife with Davis Ex Machinas.
Yep.
There are just so many rule-breaking plot benders to toy with.
What?
And
Wow, that's a statement and a half.
Yeah, that's quite the take.
That's like
Literally, the only criticism I can think of with that episode is that the CGI for the Dobby Doctor is aged. That's the only thing about it that I can actually think I don't think is good. But the actual storytelling,
just the CGI.
yeah, the CGI of the Doctor is like this
Yeah.
as a very old small
Oh yeah,
man.
it's not very good.
But that's like the only thing about it that I can think of that is an actual
Yeah.
problem.
That's the problem with the production more so than the writing.
Yeah, the writing
There's
is
there's
stellar.
There's no real issue with the writing, so I'm really interested in what he's gonna say.
No, but
it's just
Callum,
rifled with Ex Machinas.
it has a religious allegory, therefore it's a plot hole
But they explain it.
because
They explain.
because the Doctor is
people-
the Doctor's just a traveler. He's not a god, Callum. You don't understand.
But he doesn't see himself as that. It's the people. that heard the stories of him that think of him that way, which that isn't an issue.
Yeah, and that's something that him and Martha deliberately do because they understand that that's how human beings work because of their experiences in gridlock.
So almost if he's like a story.
It's almost like
it's
set up and paid off.
Oh, really? Is it? I never thought of that. No, it's cringe.
Ever still feels the need to find a random button on the Valiant that rewinds time in the style of Superman. Russell.
That's not how it works.
That's not what happens.
No, it's not.
It was not a random button. It's the paradox machine. Because the reason why they have the paradox machine is so that time won't kind of just break.
Yeah. Well,
That's what the Master has that, so he can do what he does.
Yeah, so the Master, the only way he can actually become Prime Minister and win is by having a paradox take place. It's basically a false victory. It makes sense logically in terms of the plot, and it's also thematically brilliant as well, because it ties into the whole thing of Series 3 about how people will believe in falsehood because it's a brighter life for them than the actual reality. It's the same thing in Gridlock with the people on the motorway believing that it'll take them to, Utopia, which again ties into the actual episode Utopia as well. Then you got Martha believing that the Doctor will love her back. You got the Doctor, trying to hide the fact that Gallifrey is gone and he's lost Rose. It's the line in the Shakespeare Code where he says, "There's something right in front of me and I just can't see it." Like, there's so many indicators for this, and it ties right into the finale. The Master believes that he can rule. But the only way he does it is by creating a false timeline, and once that's broken, that all falls to pieces. It's so much more than just a fucking big red button.
Big red button.
So, your story has a thing called a paradox machine in it. What does that mean?
Yeah, they established it.
We literally don't...
What do you mean? What does that mean? It's explained.
What do you think it means? What do you think a paradox machine is? What do you think the words paradox and machine mean?
But even
what do you think the Master is doing? I don't think it needs that much explaining.
But even then, they still explain it anyway.
Well, yeah, the reason he needed, Game Trying to Brian said, like, the reason he needed the paradox machine was because humans can't kill their ancestors.
Yeah.
That was the big thing.
Yeah.
They literally explain how it works.
Paradox machine could do anything plot-wise, as long as it has repercussions. Something else to note, Series 3...
It does have repercussions. It does.
It rewinds it.
That is the repercussion. It causes the Master's...
Technically doesn't happen.
Causes the Master's entire plan to crumble, and also because all of the people on the Valiant remember the whole year, so it completely changes and affects their lives forever. The entire of Martha's family, Captain Jack and the Doctor, all had to experience that year, and they won't forget it. And Lucy Saxon as well. Yeah. Which, to be fair, in End of Time isn't followed up on well, but that's not the fault of the story. No. God, I can't believe... I still can't believe it's like... Somehow, after, 2 years, Lucy still had the DNA of the Master on her lips. Like, what the fuck?
That's so stupid.
And the way that Russell was trying to tie that into the bit in Smith and Jones when the Doctor's DNA was on Martha, but that was like minutes, not years.
I don't get how this is an Ex Machina when they literally say how it works.
And it was mentioned before in the previous show episodes quite a bit with the field and whatnot.
Yeah, pay attention, please, sir.
Yeah.
3 is the only finale that doesn't build off of previous ones. It may seem hackneyed.
Wait, what?
That's not true.
That's so not true.
That's not true. The Master coming to power happens as a result of Harriet Jones being removed from power, and then also due to that happening, you have what's the thing? You have the Series 2 finale where the Daleks and Cybermen come through the rift, which comes as a result of Torchwood opening it up through the void thing, and that wouldn't have happened if Harriet Jones wasn't in it. And so, because of that, the Doctor loses Rose, which sets them on a course which ends up taking place in the Series 3 finale, which ties back to the Time War, which ties back to the Series 1 finale. So no, you're wrong, Sam. Sorry.
But considering they begin in Series 4 anyway, this is where I would use the parallel universe. The Doctor, Jack, Martha and her family can't defeat the Master. Their mission is simply to escape him. Dangerously fleeing into a
How are you
different
gonna
parallel
escape from a
universe. Not Pete's
helicarrier?
Okay.
And the Doctor would never just escape.
Yeah, no,
he would
they
he would never just run away.
Yeah, no, they establish in Doomsday that and in Age of Steel that passing through parallel universes can't happen on purpose with the TARDIS.
It's also very dangerous.
very, very, very dangerous.
Yeah, what they were doing about with the teleports, they were opening rifts in the universe, and that was dangerous. So you shouldn't do that. So yeah, the Doctor wouldn't.
Yeah, and the only reason he does it in Journey's End is because Rose came from there, so he can take her back to the source. Like it's
Well, yeah,
something.
that's because of what the Daleks do. That's
Yeah.
why they can.
Yeah. He wouldn't do it on
Like
purpose.
the Void is dead and
He
stuff
wouldn't
like
do it on
that.
purpose. It's dangerous. Like in Rise of the Cybermen, when it happens by accident because of him not paying
Yeah,
attention.
exactly. Like, yeah.
It's well
very
established.
dangerous.
It's well established.
Pete's world because Rose is there, but a world identical enough where the election wasn't tampered with. The Master's takeover in Sound of Drums is so impressive, I'm almost determined to let him have it. Even though the world snaps back to normal, there are still emotional repercussions for Martha and Martha's family. That's
Yeah.
nice, but you could keep it and make it feel like less of a cheat. It could even
How's it
lead
cheat?
to another fun cliffhanger for the Christmas special. Oh
How's
no!
it-
Harriet Jones won
explain
the
how it's a
election
cheat.
again, and she's part Cyberman. You've got complete free reign with a blank slate. The cast
fuck?
break the rules and jump ship to a different world.
This is a shit
But
idea.
there do need to be lasting ramifications.
I would argue this is more of a cop out than the way it's actually done because it
Oh,
doesn't
it's absolutely
because
a
it
cop-
because
it's
it
more of a cop-out,
because
yeah.
it's nonsensical for the Doctor to do this. Like this would actually be
Yeah, without
I
giving an
could
actual
not s-
reason.
I could never see the Doctor just running away from his universe to go to a.
He's
different
not
one.
Rick from Rick and Morty.
Yeah, like that's the thing, because with Rick, but that's actually a really good point. Because in Rick and Morty, Rick, like, he leaves his own dimensions, and it's because he doesn't care. Like, he goes through the dimensions that are just closest to his, and he's like, whatever, I don't care, because he's a nihilist. The Doctor is not. The Doctor is the last thing from a nihilist. He wants to save everyone. He has like a lot of hope and compassion, and he just wouldn't give up on this.
It's his universe.
other-
Why would he just
yeah,
run
his
away?
own-
yeah.
universe,
Like he has a hubris, but he does care, and that's actually
Yeah, and it's
that's actually tied into it. Like that's what makes him such an interesting character. Is like when you think about Waters of Mars, those two things actually combine. Like his hubris and his compassion become the same, and that's when you get the Time Lord Victorious because it's
That and Midnight, I'd say.
yeah. Like, the fact is, like the whole reason why he wants to do it is because he wants to save them, but it's born out of his ego and thinking that he owns time, but he doesn't. And also, like when
Yeah,
when you think about the context of this story, it's nicely built up because he's done these sorts of things before. He's changed time before, like he did with Harriet Jones, like he did with the Master here. If you just had him escape to a parallel universe, that would completely upset that whole thing, and it would also be out of character because he'd be going somewhere that he is as previously established is dangerous and doesn't want to do again.
Yeah, and he just said that it wouldn't be such a cheap cop out when they rewind the timeline, but that's just wrong because they'd be going to a dimension just like theirs but with Rose. So everything in regards to Rose in the Doctor had to go through, that's undermined.
Yeah.
And if these characters are just going to move to a different dimension,
Also-
then it's the same thing. Like
Also-
there are no consequences. for the
Also,
characters
imagine
we
what
care
a
about.
imagine what a kick to the balls it would be if the resolution of Last of the Time Lords is take Martha to the universe that Rose is in.
Oh yeah.
Like that would be
That'd be-
really, really disappointing.
Yeah, especially after
I
everything.
mean, like going
Martha-
against everything that's been set up with Martha's character.
Yeah, and like her entire journey during those episodes, the woman who walked the earth, that's not great. Yeah, that would be terrible for her character arc.
This is an awful idea, and you should be ashamed.
Occasions, maybe the entirety of Series 4. The Big Finish Charlie arc actually does something very similar, with consequences for their rule
I
breaking.
imagine the
appearing-
context is different, though, Sam.
Yeah. The Divergent Universe arc happens as a result of It happens as a result of the Time Lords commanding the Doctor to go there, I think. From memory, it's been about a year since I've listened to it. But there's a story called Zagreus, which is like the 40th anniversary story, 2003. And after it, the Doctor ends up going to the Divergent Universe, but it's because of the Time Lords. It's not because he wants to, it's because of the Time Lords. And unlike this idea that he's presenting here, for the most part, it's actually pretty fucking good. So, yeah.
Appearing in every story. I like this ending because not only does it let the Master have his day,
Of course you do. It's your ending.
but it's also a great punishment. Trapping the Master
What?
in a ruined Earth.
How is
he
it trapping
wrecked
him?
with no one to play?
It's not. No,
He's not going.
It's not.
Oh my
it's
God,
not. It's
this
not.
is so
It's not a
bad.
punishment for the Master. It's a punishment for the people that have been suffering because of him.
The Master wins.
Yeah, the Master
Yeah.
would. The Master would win, and all the people on
He's
Earth that
going to
he's.
conquer other planets and kill
The Master
everyone.
would have made
Yeah.
the Doctor give up. Like, that's the biggest win the Master's ever had.
Yeah, it would actually.
That's
It would actually be
yeah, the-
incredibly out of character because the Doctor would be sabotaging all those people.
yeah. He just give
This
up on
is-
the universe and Earth and everyone.
So this is so retarded.
This is
This is
like
actually really fucking.
this is
retarded.
like the worst case scenario.
This is actually really.
This is
bad.
something that the
I
Master.
don't
Yeah,
think
Jeb pointed out. This is something the Master actually wants.
the
He
Master
would
would
lose by-
relish having a whole universe to himself.
You would lose by winning. That's wow.
Well, I mean
4,000 IQ.
that ties into the flooding Five Doctors line. He shall win, shall lose, and he shall lose, shall win.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah.
play with.
They got a
He can now
retarded
experience
rewrite.
being the last of the Time Lords.
I don't think he
That's his
cares.
punishment.
Why would he care?
And it-
The Master doesn't give a shit. It's the Doctor that cares about being the last of the Time Lords.
Yeah, you.
And-
What am I listening to?
In fact, I think the Master would actually be okay with that because it means that he's special and he's like a god for the universe. He decides what happens. Like, the Master would do all the things that the Doctor wants to do in the Waters of Mars. The Master would do that all the time. All the
Yeah,
time.
he wouldn't care.
Because he
He would build like
because
multiple
it wouldn't
paradox
because like
machines if he could.
with the Doctor
Yeah.
it takes like 4 seasons to build up to that moment, whereas with the Master,
Yeah.
literally within seconds he would look at the universe and then he would do that thing at the end of Utopia where he celebrates and goes, I own time.
Yeah, he would. This is a terrible idea.
Yeah,
This is so bad.
yeah.
And it also means you don't use voodoo to bring him back, Russell.
Okay, so
I mean,
that
yes, but that doesn't mean that that's pretty worse. Honestly, I think this is worse than the voodoo stuff.
yeah, honestly, yeah, true. Yeah.
This is way worse. I hope you feel bad, Sam, because your idea is worse than the voodoo stuff you just talked about.
Yeah, I think you could argue that character assassination for the Doctor to this extent is actually worse writing than unearned magic resurrection.
Actually, that's a good point. Yeah, but also, what's to stop the Master eventually breaking the walls between the universes to hunt the Doctor?
Yeah, I mean, if he rules over one universe, he'll probably have access to all sorts of shit.
He'll try and invent a way to break it. all
And
the
oh my god,
universes.
and implications of because this video came out within the last year or two. The retroactive implications. So let's say, for example, Stephen Moffat does what he does in Day of the Doctor, where it actually reveals that Gallifrey wasn't destroyed. What happens if the Master finds Gallifrey in that universe?
Well, we know he's gonna destroy it because he does in season 12.
Yeah.
That extremely great Doctor by Sacha Baron.
Some people take it the psychic network bit. I think that's fine because it is technically set up back
Yeah.
in Shakespeare Code.
Wow.
Yeah.
Power.
No,
Wait,
not
wait, wait, wait.
Shakespeare Code.
Yeah, not
What?
Shakespeare Code.
What?
But,
Oh, the
hold
so
on. He just said it looks bad. I don't think it looks bad. I think you could argue it looks goofy in terms
So-
of like,
so
you
just-
wouldn't expect the
just
Doctor to do
just for context, Callum, the reason why he's saying that isn't literal. It's more so comparative. So the Shakespeare Code thing is that the Carrionites resolution is very similar to the one from Last of the Time Lords in that it uses thoughts and words. The same. So in Lost of the Time Lords, the human race uses the word doctor to psychically link themselves to the Archangel network. In the Shakespeare Code, it's in the thing, it's again resolved with words. So you have the speech Shakespeare does, where he says, he does the whole thing.
It's a really different context, though.
Yeah, it is a different context. But if you look at it in terms of the storytelling, there is a similarity, and I think. Not necessarily in terms of literal logic setup, but in terms of Martha and the Doctor having experiences before that are similar, it sets it up for their characters, and that they and that they
Some things is good because it's similar to a previous episode.
Yeah. So it's set up in terms of character, I would agree with them, but in terms of plot, it's set up already in the story without the Shakespeare Code.
Yeah, and I would say if Shakespeare Code didn't exist, it would also make perfect sense.
It would still work, yeah. It would still work, but I just think that
I think it's a neat connection to think, they've done something similar.
The only
but I don't think it's any more than that.
It's like that would make the idea that the Doctor would have this idea a bit more I guess it would be more reinforced because it'd be like
that's what I'm saying. That's the only setup that the Shakespeare Code is that the Doctor and Martha have seen something like this work before, and so that they would believe that they could try and make it work again in a different context.
Yeah, but I don't think. I don't think it'd be out of the realm of possibility, even if Shakespeare Code didn't exist.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm just saying that it's not a logical setup. It's just one of experience, experience that is similar.
Right, which I kind of understand what he means. It's just kind of worthless when you're.
I guess what I'm trying to say is if, let's say for example, the resolution of Last of the Time Lords was a job and you were applying for it. You were applying to be the one to resolve the scenario.
Right.
If you were applying for it like a job, putting this experience you had in the Shakespeare Code could be on your CV. If that's an analogy that works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Also,
story.
Controller Prime said there in chat that the establishing Rise of the Cybermen, the Time Lords have the power to travel between universes. That it's not possible without them. So he's working out a crumbling foundation. So that's true, right? They wouldn't be.
You would have to force an accident for that to work.
Which means that it'd be a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the very thing is smart to destroy.
Yeah.
Don't lecture me, Obi-Wan.
But Marcus, concepts are
the key to storytelling.
It's not about how it does it. It's about what it is. It's not about how it does it.
Rather than
Well, if that's the case, then every finale is great, and you shouldn't need to rewind it.
Oh well, to be completely honest, though, I don't think Randscore is a good concept anyway.
Oh, good point.
Nope.
Yeah.
Story. It's just a tenuous link to make. Number 2, Journey's End. The Deus Ex Machina.
So I just want to say that's all he had to say about that.
That was awful.
That was really short and really bad.
Yeah. I'm just gonna quickly go to the bathroom and then I'll be back.
All right.
Have a chat about what you've just witnessed.
I think that kind of, if that happened, that would legit ruin the whole episode.
Oh yeah, easily.
That was make it automatically a 3 or 2.
And it's like he created a Deus Ex Machina trying to get out of a Deus Ex Machina that doesn't even exist.
Imagine that. Imagine the scene with Martha and the Doctor, but the context is they're in a different universe now. How fucked is that? I'm really wondering what he's going to do with Journey's End, because it's not good, but is he going to do something that's even worse? That's what I'm really interested in. Something that doesn't actually work at all, and it's actually somehow worse. Yeah, I agree, Jeb. That actually does kind of ruin the show, and it really would destroy the Doctor's character, outright.
Yeah, it's like the 10th Doctor is easily the best New Who Doctor, and you're just gonna be like, no, let's make him give up on literally an entire universe.
That's good characterization.
That's
Not even the
cheap
people who
characterization.
hate 10 would agree that's good. I'm sorry, but they wouldn't. I feel maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but I feel even they would be like, just the fact the Doctor, not even just 10, the Doctor in general would do that is massively out of character.
Yeah.
Allowing the Master to win.
One of the core traits of the Doctor is compassion. Watch, he's gonna give up on an entire universe because he doesn't know how to win against the Master.
When you say that, I'm thinking of the clip that Jay had in her video where the Sixth Doctor in a Big Finish story says, "You have displayed one of my key traits, compassion."
That was what I was thinking as well, Chu, when I was saying that.
Yeah, it's such a fucking
That's a
great clip.
perfect reference.
It's a perfect reference. I'm just like, the Doctor not only allowing the Master to win. That fucking confuses me. How he thinks that rewriting that to making the Master last Time Lord is a punishment. What?
Especially like, doesn't the Master hate Time Lords? Is seen in like a
Especially what they've done to him with the drums.
yeah. So
Like,
I don't.
He would
So he's
fucking not care.
He would be the last Time Lord, a Lord
He'd
of Time. He would be the last person.
You would
who can
find that
control
as like a privilege in a sense.
Yeah, it's dumb.
So not only does he not understand the Doctor's character, he doesn't understand the Master's character.
And also,
Like-
it will ruin Martha's arc. So that's running three characters in one.
It would butcher it.
Yeah. Anyway, Journey's End.
Start thick and fast quite early into the story. The Meta-Crisis Doctor, in itself, is one of these. A walking, talking Davis plot device. But there's loads.
What? How
Not
is that
really,
a
it's
walking talking
established.
plot device?
But it's established how it works. It's not a Deus Ex Machina. It's explained why it's possible. Whereas remaining regeneration energy.
Yeah.
This just one of the things that we found in Journey's End that was relatively fine. Like we talked about how
He
Have a
and also
hand.
the hand is cut off during his regeneration post regeneration cycle as well. Like in the Christmas
it's why
invasion, it's something that
it's why his
something that
hand
was cut
goes
off
back.
like when he was actually regenerating. Like if it was after that point, like let's say it was just like I don't know in the middle of his run, then it would be weird. But the thing is that when the moment when it was being cut off, he was still regenerating. Like he was still like settling into his new body.
the biggest issue with the hand isn't to do with Journey's End. It's to do with the fact that Jack somehow just. I don't think it's ever explained how he
Yeah.
finds it.
Yeah, so it just turns up in
It's a massive
Torchwood.
contrivance.
It just turns up in Torchwood.
It's it's a big
Yeah,
contrivance.
there's
but that's not an issue
So
with
I guess
Journey's
the
End.
issue is with Torchwood.
Yeah, there's a few issues in between how Torchwood Series 1 fits with the main show. So like that's one of them. The other one is that in Utopia, Jack doesn't tell the Doctor about what he's just seen. Because in this, literally in the finale of the first series of Torchwood, this big demon monster invades the Earth and almost kills everyone. And Jack never mentions it. That is weird. But I think that's more down to like communication between Chibnall and Russell, I think. And it's to do with the way that
But that's not Journey's End's fault.
Thankfully, I believe
Because it's
they
established he's had the hand.
I believe they fixed that issue later on. Like when they get to Children of Earth, I think they acknowledge why the Doctor isn't there. So that is good. But with the first series of Torchwood, there's a lot of tisms. More than just how it fits with the main show. There's a lot of problems with the actual thing itself. And you know,
I mean, I've seen the EFEP reaction show episode 2 of season 1, so
yeah, and
it does.
well, you know, I mean, it's Chibnall, so no surprises there.
So loads of them are red herrings, from the gun the Doctor is building, from the Osterhagen key to whatever Sarah Jane Smith's
It's not a red herring.
The script is very
Hostenhagen
dismissive
key
towards these
is
plot
actually a
devices.
really,
Now,
really
the only
interesting
part-
concept that Mother comes up with. How she holds it as a threat to the Daleks, and how that actually builds towards what the Doctor has turned all of his friends into. It's actually one of the strongest parts of the episode.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So I don't get how it's a red herring when it actually plays a part into the characterization.
Unless he means that they should have.
The issue with the gun is the fact that the Doctor runs towards Davros instead of shooting it.
Yeah, which
He
I
just
I
runs.
thought it was because it was their plan to get Donna to fucking zapped, but that would also cause more issues.
Yeah.
But concepts, Callum, concepts.
Yes. Yeah.
I take
Real-
issue with 100
real
words
good.
per minute Dr. Donna, where yet again all of the controls to destroy the entire army are just laying around in Davros.
Okay, this is a problem.
No.
This is actually a
that's
problem.
right.
So well done, Sam. You've actually done something good.
Yeah, well done.
Davros'
For the
base.
first time.
You can't show me the Dalek Empire at the height of their strength, these master tacticians, and then have them defeated by a couple lever presses. That's the no fun nerd in me.
Okay. It's not necessarily what she does that's the problem. The problem is the fact that she's able to get to it so easily. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the
And it was
issue.
just in a place where it should not have been.
Yeah,
All
like-
those controls.
Yeah, exactly,
Actual,
that's the issue.
like in terms of characterization, it actually works. It's just in terms of the accessibility, it doesn't make sense. It's very
Yeah.
Oh, to be fair,
stupid.
Prime, given what we know about UNIT, you know, because UNIT is a thing, there's probably a bunch of alien stuff in London. So I don't think that's a good enough reason.
Yeah, the one thing that is in support of it to some extent, still a bit contrived, but one thing that you can say is in support of it to some extent, is the fact that Torchwood was around during the Christmas invasion. Like, they're the ones that blew up the Sycorax ship. So you can potentially believe maybe that Jack was actually in the area as it was happening, because Harry Jones called Torchwood before that event, like earlier in the episode. So it's very possible that Jack may have been there.
Well, there's a Torchwood in London anyway. I'd imagine Jack is still just based in Cardiff.
That's true, actually. That is true, to be fair.
So yeah, he wouldn't be in London at all.
Yeah, but that actually that's a good point. But I just wonder, they may have gone into it in Big Finish maybe, but I think the one thing I wonder is that how did the Hand get from Torchwood London to Torchwood Cardiff?
I don't think it would. If Torchwood London had it, they would never give it to Cardiff. Because
especially if Yvonne Hartman had her hands on it.
Exactly. So I think, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
that
a
is something that I
no-
wish.
yeah.
That's something I wish that the Torchwood show explained how it got from London
That
to
would
Cardiff.
be nice.
Yeah,
A connection would be nice.
but you know, it is Chris Chibnall after all.
Yeah, he can't write.
Is there a better way to do this? I would argue.
I think the issue with the Hand in the Torchwood series 1 is that it's played as a mystery, so we don't actually know. We never find out because they never tell us that it's the Doctor's hand until like the very last episode. So so Jack never has an actual reason to explain it because it's written as a mystery.
Like when surely the Doctor would ask how we actually fucking got it. I find that really strange.
argue yes. Time restraints and all. Again, this is a Davis story with so many moving parts. We have a
Actually, thinking about it, does that mean that Utopia potentially has more autisms than Last of the Time Lords? If you consider that, and also the fact that Jack doesn't tell him about what just happened, I think that's quite funny.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true.
I think that's quite funny because a lot of people would say that Utopia's miles better.
I wouldn't say Mars better because I think Last of the Time was just fucking great.
I think all three parts of that story are sensational.
Yes, I agree.
I would say Last Time Large is the best part, but
I would probably say so.
That's a massive hot take, but it's not out of the blue for me because I think all three parts are great. So
yeah.
Like,
it's just 'cause I
Sound
was
of the
watching
Drums
being
is
like,
just
I
a
could
great
see-
episode. Like the conversation the Doctor and the Master have on the phone.
yeah,
that is
yeah.
just-
So
fucking amazing.
So like the biggest criticism people have of the Sound of Drums is really bullshit as well. Like they say that it doesn't make sense that how they retcon the Master his drums being put in his head, and they also take away his agency when that's not at all what happens.
No, yeah, that's definitely not what I...
It doesn't, and they
Seriously.
also like in dialogue they reference the fact that the drums are getting louder. So when they first put it in his head, he doesn't actually hear it that loud. So like for example, all of that time in Classico, the drums weren't really a problem; they were just very faintly in the background. Which you
It's
know,
kind of like if you have a ringy in your ear and it gets louder as you go on in life.
it's not
When
until you
imagine
get
with
to
Time Lords,
it's not-
probably not like humans.
It's not until you get to around Derek Jacobi's master, or maybe slightly before that, that the drums actually get loud. So yeah.
We have a Dalek masterminded this entire operation who is batshit crazy and
Yeah.
denounces the Daleks in the story. Why is Dalek Khan not tricking them all? I danced and died 1,000 times. Hey Daleks, your entire plan was masterminded by the guy who belongs in the asylum. Now he does betray them, screaming, "No more!" But honestly, Donna making the Dalek into dodgems and the Doctor committing genocide is a very busy ending. And a lot of it is extraneous. Is it
Saying
not
the
enough for Dalek
Doctor's
Khan?
committing genocide is a bit disingenuous when it's a different version of the Doctor, which they also
Yeah.
acknowledge. It's not like the
But
characters
Marcus,
designated the
but
Doctor.
Marcus, I am the Doctor.
I get goosebumps when the human doctor says that. It's just like fucking
Yeah.
that's so fucking cool.
Because Journey's End has great characterization.
yeah, it does.
Oh no, but it's busy. It's a busy ending because lots of things happen.
It's very busy. I mean, the reason why it's not good isn't that it was busy, is the fact that it does so much and it's really badly written.
Khan's plan to just be a massive backfire? Because it's these two that create the bullshit ending. Apart from that, everything is...
It's not though.
It's not the Daleks or what creates the issue.
These two are not.
Yeah.
Are like the part of the ending that actually works really well.
Yeah. The
Yeah, for
issues
the most
come
part,
from
yeah.
the Daleks being moronic.
Like they're involved in it, but the Dr. Donna element of it is actually the good part.
Like my biggest issue with like, in terms of how the time element kind of things work, the fact that Khan just goes, "This would always have happened. I would have only helped." It's like that's a bit. That kind of reminds me of like Kang from Loki. I think Jeb referenced that. It's just like, it's a bit sus. Because it doesn't really come from the fact of it being character driven. I don't know. It's very
Well,
weird.
it's kind of like because they say that he saw all of time, right? And that's why he knows.
Yeah,
them
somehow.
everything. Yeah, so I don't know, because like in our world, like I don't believe that in real life we have free will. Like I think there's determinism. Just simply because we experience time the way we do doesn't mean that time actually is linear. Because we're not fifth dimensional beings that can just see time.
Just to follow up on something Gantral Prime said, he said that because the Torchwood in London is destroyed in Doomsday, then the assets will be transferred. Yes, but I wish they actually explained that. That's what I'm saying. It's not about that I think it's impossible to happen. I'm saying that I wish that the show actually told us how it got there.
Well, yeah, it's like how Rory isn't guarding the Silurian, but somehow just apparently just appears.
No, but Callum, he's
a
a fool, Callum. He's daft.
pretty neat. Me, I just say cut it. Donna can earn her agency another way. Not to mention the Donna and Metacrisis Doctor scenes are so flabby.
Well, you have to
And the
rewrite a
TARDIS
whole
scenes
different
don't-
reason as to why she leaves the TARDIS. Then
Yeah.
I don't believe she can do it.
I'm okay. It's just there's scenes with her and Metacrisis Doctor are also flabby.
Yeah, Callum, they're flabby.
What the fuck does that mean?
Well,
What does that mean?
well, they're obviously, I don't know, they're too fat or something.
The scene between the human Doctor and Donna, it's really good. The
Yeah.
chemistry is fucking great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It shows. It works because it shows what would happen if they reversed traits.
Yeah. Which I really appreciate. And I think it's pretty funny if you consider that Rose is going to be with a doctor that acts like Donna.
But also, I think that is really funny. But also, it ties into Turn Left because Rose met Donna in Turn Left and really admired her.
Yeah.
So in a
I
way,
like that a lot.
yeah. So in a way, you could say Rose is.
And
full...
I guess it also means that the Donna is gonna always be more important than she thinks.
And
because
so,
of,
and that actually
her...
that fits in really well because the Doctor, as he isn't capable of being in love with Rose because of he's a Time Lord, obviously. But what I like about that is that the Doctor Donna, in terms of the both of them crossing over, it's like they have what each other misses, right? Like so Donna has what the Doctor doesn't have, and vice versa. And so the human Doctor having some of Donna's DNA, it means that he has the things that will actually help him fit, not just genetically, but actually personality-wise, will help him fit in and actually be the partner that Rose wants and needs, rather than who the Doctor actually is, who has a lot of things about him that she desires, but it's not possible due to the fact that he's a Time Lord and can never have a relationship with a human, given the reasons that we see in episodes like Human Nature and whatnot. So I think that's really good. It's really good, Sam. It's really fucking good. This is not the part to criticize.
No, it really isn't.
Scenes don't even really add much. The Doctor is naked. There's a funny bit about that. They sound the same. There's a funny bit about that. The Doctor has to build a
Man,
gun.
that's really
Ultimately does
simplifying
nothing.
what happens.
It's only
That's really simplifying what happens.
Yeah, that seems very disingenuous.
Yeah. It's, hey, they do a joke. They then do another joke.
Yeah,
There's a bit
but
more
he's
context
just-
here.
Yeah, it's skipping all the characterization we get there and the context for how the mechanics
Remember that
work.
bit where the human dog just goes on about how, because he's now inside Donna's head, kind of, he understands that Donna thinks she's not worth it because of how
Oh yeah,
she acts.
she
really
says
good.
she's not important, and then he's like, oh no, you actually believe that, and it's like, oh, that's fantastic.
I love it.
I'm also preparing myself because I realized that he's going to want to cut all of that great stuff and replace it with something very interesting.
Oh boy.
It's only about two of the themes they share, but I think it might be more economic to give them something completely different to do. Pop in the Stolen Earth and you will see how the Daleks just rock up with a fully formed plan. In a normal Dalek outing with less going on, we would get that explanation, the exposition, the setup. We might even see it. So the Doctor and Donna are going to go back in time and find the foundations of this plan being made. Maybe following Khan into the Time War for a quick bit of fan service. Or at least
the
witnessing
issue with
him
this-
crashing into
They
it.
can't get inside
Now we
the
are
Time
replacing
War.
three very
That's
short.
Yeah, they
the
can't.
issue. Like, how would they?
It's time locked.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, I think if they did try to explain it,
Deus Ex Machina.
I also think if they did, I think this would. It's the thing, that whole idea, I think at its core is kind of tismy, given what.
But
me and Jeff found out.
I just think that's hilarious. He's doing the same thing he was doing at Last of the Time Lords. He's going somewhere that he can't go.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
creating an Deus Ex Machina. It's in terms of going back in time, I'm not sure if that would work. Like, because they would need you, they would need to infiltrate the Dalek ship, and now they're just two humans. The Doctor isn't even a Time Lord, and they would need to find out the plan somehow. Find out the plan, like I guess over here, one of
What
the
if,
Daleks talking to another.
What if
So they need to find the exact point when they talk about it. So it's like, how would they?
What if just in Davros's little living quarters on a ship, he has that painting from the day of the Doctor? And they just... And he's just like, I kept a memory, Doctor. And then they just end up jumping into the painting.
Oh god.
But yeah, like for them to go back in time and to find out the plan, they would need to find the exact point where one of the Daleks is telling another Dalek, or Khan is
This
telling
is
the other
our
Daleks the
plan.
plan. Yeah, like they would need to find the exact moment when that happens and not be found inside that ship when they do that. And also have the Daleks not detect the TARDIS, even though they
Again.
would obviously be able to detect the TARDIS. And they wouldn't even be safe inside the TARDIS, as they established in Stolen Earth.
What
So
really confuses me about Jenny said is Davros being a pet, being a prisoner.
But, Marcus, it's flabby. You can't do that. It's flabby.
all right. It's
So
just,
he
it's
just
really
wants the
strange. It's,
conclusion of Spyfall for Journey's End, I guess. So, yeah.
it's just he's creating more issues.
Well, that's
with
really
his
funny. That's really
storyline.
funny because Samuel Davis thinks Spyfall's one of the worst ever. So,
Oh,
so that's
I mean,
that's
it's
that's,
bad.
that's ironic.
it is bad. I just
And also, like, he
he
specifically means part 2 as well, which is the one that has the conclusion in it.
Well, part 2 is the worst part of
I know,
Spyfall.
I
It's
know,
fucking
but
terrible.
that's what I'm saying though is that Gentile Prime is
Yeah, it's
pointing
been
out
funny.
he wants the conclusion of Spyfall for Journey's End when the conclusion of Spyfall is something that he himself has said is terrible.
Yeah.
fucking genius.
That's quite funny.
Cutaway scenes, so there's not a lot of space to play with. But all you need is the scene where they meet, explain what's just happened. The next one, follow Dalek Khan's steps from emergency temporal shift. And in the third, they find
But
what's left
how?
of Khan.
How can they
Khan
do
reveals his
it?
hatred towards the Daleks, and they strike
Wait,
the
but
planet.
if they can just follow his steps from the emergency temporal shift, that's just creating an issue with
So why
that
didn't
other
10 do
episode.
that? Why wouldn't 10 do that?
Yeah,
in
why
series
didn't he do that
Yeah, why
after
wouldn't he do-
Doomsday? Why didn't he do it after Evolution of the Daleks? Especially,
Yeah,
especially when,
again, yeah,
especially when you consider,
continuations.
especially when you consider in the previous story in Gridlock, he talks about how much he misses Gallifrey. Like, it would be very in character for him to be like, "Oh, I can actually go, because I can actually follow that emergency
I can go
temporal
and save
shift."
them.
Wait,
I can try and
it's not-
save them.
I'm pretty sure they have an explanation about that in Evolution of the Daleks or the Doctors. Like, there's no energy left or some behind or some shit when he teleports. I may be just hallucinating that, but let me check.
But either way, if this was established in this episode, then those two stories they suffer massively due to this
Yeah.
issue he's just inventing.
Emergency
Like, how
temporal
could you follow Khan at all?
Yeah. It's interesting because
It's very strange.
I mean, the thing is, I guess given that he's given these two very specific things that he's done with Last of the Time Lords and Journey's End that are passing through into things that where you can't go, it's absolutely no surprise to me that he's a big fan of Day the Doctor. Not to say, I'm not saying necessarily, I mean, criticizing the episode, but what I mean is that Day the Doctor does exactly what he wants in these stories, where they pass into somewhere that they usually can't go. Does that, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, well, this is something that Samuel Davis
Well, this is a theme now because he's done the same with the last idea he had.
So he's taking
It's
an
becoming
idea
a
that
theme.
I would imagine he's a big fan of that comes from Day of the Doctor and putting it in these two stories where they don't fit.
Yeah.
Day of the Doctor I haven't seen in a while. I think potentially at some point down the road would be interesting to talk about, especially if Jay was king, because I know Jay has big hot takes on it. But
Well, he thinks
yeah,
it's the
he
worst
says
episode of
it's
Doctor
the-
Who.
I don't think he says it's the worst. I think he says it's like the worst special episode.
I think he said it's the worst Matt Smith episode, which is a fucking big hot take.
Yeah, that is a bit.
But I don't think Jay
I would
thinks
agree that
it's.
it's not good.
I don't think Jay thinks it's the worst episode ever, though. I don't think I've.
Yeah.
I don't think I
Yeah,
heard
because I
that.
remember him saying in EFAP that it's like the worst special because they mentioned that Full Fat Videos thinks that it's the best. So,
Yeah, he made a video on it.
Oh, it's. I would say it's the worst anniversary special, like the worst multi-doctor story. But I don't think either of you have seen. Oh, I know, Callum. Haven't you seen the Five Doctors, Callum?
I have, but that was like years ago now.
Yeah, I watched it this week. It's brilliant. Apart from a few tisms, but it's brilliant. I wish Tom Baker was in it. That's the only thing.
That'd be nice.
I wish Tom Baker
That'd be
was in
nice.
it. I mean, technically he is in it, but it's from archive footage, not from appearance. But the thing is,
That's a
the
shame.
thing is though, with that, is that's not an actual problem with the storytelling. It's just something that I subjectively want.
It's just a meta thing.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we continue?
Yes.
Yeah.
And with Donna rejuvenating him by touch. In this scene, Med Crisis Doctor wants to finish Khan off, whilst Donna actually comes up with the plan. This is what we're experiencing in our time. This is how you can make it happen. Donna has the agency of the episode. And it's more gripping later when Khan says, "One shall still die." And
How's
boom,
that
yeah,
gripping?
now you have your lasting consequences, but it's less random. Number
What?
3,
What do you mean
Battle of
it's random?
Ranskor
It's the
Av
same-
You didn't go over anything. I felt I learned nothing from that.
He didn't. Okay. That's what he didn't change a lot from the rewrite. He says these scenes are flabby. Let's create a
How
contrivance
would this work?
and a plot hole, and with that now it's less random. I don't understand.
This isn't very good so far. 2 for 2. He's not doing very well.
He's basically saying
if they
he
should
wants
rewrite,
he wants
should
to
not.
see the explanation for the time war, how Khan got in and out, and replace the flabby comedy.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I would just rewrite that whole thing of Journey's End. I don't think it works.
Yeah, same.
I would just not try and make it explained. I would just completely scrap it and do something else.
It's just funny, the fact that he wants to fix something that already works with something that doesn't. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, he's picking the wrong parts to change.
Yep.
Coronavirus. I think there's a very easy solution here. Make something happen in your episode. Content.
That's very vague. I mean, true.
Okay,
It's very vague.
So here's the
I
thing.
would agree.
Here's the thing with Ranskor. Something not happening is very much on the basis of the fact that a lot of people find it boring to watch. That is true. But the thing is that when you remove that, things actually do happen in the Ranskor Colossus, even if it's not exciting. There are actually events. And some of those events are very, very, very poorly written. Oh my god.
Yeah, they really are.
OGA, I do believe the Two Doctors is better than the Day of the Doctor. I know that might be a hot take, but I absolutely think it's better.
Content. Be an actual battle could occur in the Battle of Ranskor Av Colon.
I mean, sure, yeah.
Just throwing around a
that
couple
would be
ideas
better.
on what to do with this. If we know that a mysterious figure has been trapping planets, and all of the armies and forces have come to
So
confront
he's not going
him
to get
on
rid
this
of the
very day,
contrivance.
and it's the one where the Doctor was led into, what if it was a trap for her? This way, Tim Shaw's reappearance and his revenge could seem somewhat intentional. What if the entire
How is it a trap if he randomly got there?
I guess he's thinking of changing that too.
You-
But
you-
I need to know the specifics of the
you
trap.
need to-
because the
you
Doctor
need
is smart,
to-
you can just trap.
You need to rewrite how he exits in The Woman Who Fell to Earth, and then recontextualize, like have it be he teleported there on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also him setting up a trap needs to be constructed. It actually needs to, exist.
Yeah, like I said, you need to explain how you trap the Doctor because the Doctor is smart, allegedly. You know.
Oh no, Game Trailer Prime.
Johnny's is-
Two Doctors is actually very divisive. Most people I've seen
Well,
in
Jay talks about it in the Fall of Doctor Who video, and it kind of seems kind of shit. Not gonna lie.
So Jay has talked about Two Doctors twice that I've seen. I know there's a full breakdown he did with Stu Bagful. I haven't seen that one, but I remember there was that that mini EDAR we did on the Master where we watched that video of them all talking about the Master.
Yeah.
So
I remember.
in that, all of those people except for Jay said the Two Doctors was really cringe, and then Jay said that they loved it. So I know that Jay really enjoys the Two Doctors, but I don't know the full extent of what they think about the writing. I suppose I'd have to watch the video that they did with Stu Bagful about it to find out. But I know that Jay would definitely say that Day of the Doctor is below it. I know that for a fact. The issues with the Two Doctors are things like the second Doctor's dodgy morals being proven right, which is, I think, they related it to something from Series 11. I can't remember which episode it was. And then you've got...
Oh yeah, it's the thing about Demons of the Punjab.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Demons of Punjab, that's right. And then you've got some of the this is something that just is a common thing with season 22, is that the Sixth Doctor will do things that aren't earned in terms of the characterization. So there's a resolution where the Sixth Doctor does something that's out of character. I won't say what it is because I don't want to spoil it. But that side of his character isn't earned in the writing before. Like, it's never actually explained why the Doctor has suddenly become like this. And I'm sure there's probably something else, some other things to it too. But the two Doctors' issues aren't as bad as the issues that Jay says in terms of Day of the Doctor, if that makes sense. Like, if we go on the narrative that Jay's issues with Day of the Doctor are valid, it would make Day of the Doctor worse than the two Doctors. That's what I'm saying.
Most likely.
Entire planetary event was a trap to frame the Doctor for his crimes. But all that stuff is secondary. This is the finale where you need to focus on character, because that's apparently what the series arc was in Series 11. News to me as well. In this one, I'm going to just amplify what's already there and have Ryan and Graham
Amplify it. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
You can't amplify nothing, and like, okay, I would agree that the finale of your season, you would need to focus on characterization a lot, which RTD does really well. But like, you also need because if you actually want to make a finale that has like high stakes, like they try to do, you should also not just focus on character but also plot. And I think that's what makes something like Big Bang so good. It's because they focus a lot on explaining the mechanics of how the Pandorica works, and how jumping back and forth in time with the vortex manipulator, how that all works, but also they make it tie in really well with the characters. And they do some stories like Rory being the fucking Centurion, right? The last Centurion.
Last
so
Centurion,
like, yeah, so they have a lot of good characters, but they also focus a lot on the plot, and the stakes are really high because it's like reality itself, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
I also just want to point out to Samuel Davis that if you amplify what's already there, it would actually be flabby.
Yeah, that's
is a
true.
good point.
Yeah.
You don't want your script to be flabby.
Yeah.
Yes.
splinter off early, both looking for hardcore revenge. Now, this doesn't have to get edgy, there's no grimdark, it's still Bradley Walsh. But they're in the midst of a giant battlefield. People are arming themselves. If they wanted to take the side where they can go after him, it's just sitting there. It was always strange to me how Ryan suddenly became the moral voice of reason. And I think it gives them the chance for an ultimate bonding exercise, some rich character growth, to have them so agreed on their goal. Having one mission. Kill this toothy motherfucker.
Yeah,
So
but here's
now
the thing.
Battle of Ranskorav Kolos has a
Graham's characterization of that is completely out of nowhere, and that's an issue within the episode. So you haven't fixed it.
Yeah, you're just making the issue. You continue using an issue to, I guess, get more characterization for
Well, actually,
Ryan.
that would actually.
Well, basically,
yeah, but
you're just.
I think
you just.
it'd be the same for Ryan, wouldn't
You're
it?
just doubling down, really. You're just doing the same thing that's already
So
bad
you
and
want
doing
the
it
same,
more.
But yeah, you want more screen time for the same thing. But didn't you say that it needs to be the same screen time? So I guess he's gonna cut out something from the episode to make it that work.
I guess cut out the stuff where Ryan is the reason, the voice of reason.
Yeah, and
they just
Makes
replace
sense.
with like.
Well, the thing is, when he says, "Oh, Ryan being the voice of reason always came out of nowhere to me," it's like, I don't know, because I don't know what Ryan's morals are, what he wants or
we don't
thinks.
know.
So
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
the thing
so,
is
like,
that
I don't
it's
think
kind
it
of
comes
a
out of
it's
nowhere.
kind of a straw man, because like a lot of things come out of nowhere in this episode.
yeah, that's a good.
Like
point.
Graham wanting to kill Tim Shaw comes out of nowhere as well. I mean, not nowhere, but it comes very out of left field.
It's not really what his character has been built up as.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Graham's the character that has most character so far, so it's strange. He's the one.
Yeah, I mean,
and he's the one who's like assassinated. It's
that's
pretty impressive.
that's really a testament to how shit Ranskor is. The fact that the one character that has some build up is shit.
Yeah.
I think Ranskor is a contender for Graham's worst characterization, although I suppose Timeless Children is also pretty awful, because you got that scene where he tells Yaz that she's the most
Yaz.
impressive woman.
Hey, yeah, they've talked to each other for
Yeah.
a while.
Also-
I also find that even funnier because in Revolution, we see that they haven't talked to Yaz in like a year or something. Like they don't know anything that's going on with her. But in the previous episode, he said that that she's the most impressive young woman he's ever seen. So it's like, wait, so you really appreciate her, but you also don't want to talk to her for
He's also
a long periods of time.
he's also a bit brain dead and spiteful for no reason as well. That's another bad one.
Yep, he is very brain dead. Very
Hey.
brain dead.
Yeah.
He has the he has the laser shoes.
Oh
does.
god, that's so bad.
He also what doesn't he like smile after 13's comment and can you hear me? I can't remember exactly what his reaction is, but like when
Oh
she,
yeah.
you know when she says that she's socially awkward, he just like laughs a bit. I'm like, oh, okay.
He left.
Yeah, he plays it off as a joke or something.
Wow. So that is really bad characterization.
Yeah, it's just like oh yeah, I don't need to
terrible.
worry about my cancer. It's fine.
Even though he just worries about his cancer coming back.
Yo,
Yeah.
I'm worried about my cancer. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I'm over it.
I'll be
Never
back in a
mind.
second.
Okay. Yeah, that scene's fucking terrible. It makes me so sad.
I already knew it was fucking terrible, but the fact that he laughs is even worse.
Yeah,
I
he
did
just-
not
he
know
just-
he laughed.
He just chuckles like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, now I'm over my cancer. Jesus.
It's fucking terrible. And it sucks because Graham, I think, like we mentioned, he is absolutely the best part of Series 11. He's the only person that has some decent characterization.
Yeah, doesn't he have like some cool lines in Demons of the Punjab?
Yeah, there's some. I think that conversation with Yaz is decent enough. I can't remember what exactly he said, but yeah.
I remember it being pretty good. The issue is the classic Chibnall. Let's stop this conversation and have action happening because we can't have character moments. So
Wasn't that
that
lost
was
of
the biggest issue.
confusion? Well, yeah, it was. But it was like he just moved on. He didn't say anything about like.
Oh yeah, that is
yeah.
that's also an issue that he just never mentions it again.
Well, he doesn't call the doctor out on it.
Yeah, and not even just not calling the doctor out, but like you'd think, especially when we know he appreciates Jia so much from Timeless Children, you'd think he'd talk to someone else about it as well. Maybe talk to Ryan, his grandson, or talk to Yas because I guess he likes Yas.
Well, I think the reason why he goes to talk to the doctor about it because she's a person of like many like decades of experience, like hundreds of years of experience,
And also,
So she would
also has a
probably
time travel machine where she could take him to some place in the future where cancer can be cured.
that would be neat.
Yeah, they never address it.
That's Rick in Rick and Morty does something like that in episode 1 where he goes to a different dimension where they've cured like all disease. So
Yeah.
but that also means that they cured aging. So him being old means that he's like the only. It means that he's the only person of that age around that area. So every woman wanted to fuck him. Rick and Morty's great.
Yeah, well, it used to be.
Oh yeah, until episode 4, season 5, it's great.
Stuff going on in the background, but it's more a story of 13 and Yaz versus Graham and Ryan. Now the thing is, that
Wait,
dynamic
what?
is in the episode. It's technically there, but
No, it's not. 13. When Graham locks him away, locks Tim Shaw away. 13 is very approving of it.
Yeah, I guess
Even
he
though
means
she wasn't in
probably
episode 1.
wanting to get revenge.
Right. Okay.
Is
So
what things should be
what
again.
are you saying that Samuel Davis is suggesting that the episode be a moral conflict between 13 and Yaz versus Graham and Ryan about this?
Yes.
Okay, well, that would be more interesting. The only problem is that 13's morals on this, in theory, should be very different to Yaz's, because Yaz is not only a policewoman, but she's also a Muslim as well, and this is one of the biggest issues I have with arachnids in the UK, is that I would imagine that Yaz would have a lot of things to say about the torture versus execution, because of her two character traits that are very contrasting. The way that a police person would, or the way that the police often view torture versus execution is very different to the way that a lot of Muslim people viewed that thing. And so I think that having 13 and Yaz be 100% on the same side would be contrived.
I think it could be interesting if there was just
I
like
think
more
it's-
than two sides
yeah,
as well.
I
because
think
hate
it's-
shit that's just
Yeah,
binary.
I think it's a scenario where if 13 was on the side of torture, Graham was on the side of execution, and Yaz was in between that, I think that could work really well. I think Ryan could
You
be.
mean
I think
characters having
yeah,
conflicts.
and I think Ryan could also be in between, but for different reasons. So for Yaz, it's more so her conflict between whether or not execution or torture is better, and for Ryan, it would be more to do with it being a revenge killing for Grace's death specifically, about the fact that it's related to someone that the fact that Grace is a factor in this as well for him. I think that would have been a lot more interesting,
Yeah.
rather than what they actually did, or even what Sam is suggesting.
But never elaborate on them. Chibnall has the beginnings of ideas just sitting there in the first act, but then never picks a confident narrative direction. I've noticed it. It's why so many of his stories suggest character developments, but then never actually initiate it.
Yeah.
So you have 13 and Yaz
Yeah, that's
thrown
true.
into this chaotic adventure, fighting to
Oh,
prevent
God, this
their
looks-
plans just as much as Tim Shaw's. I also like the idea of 13 using a number of seemingly forgotten plot elements from throughout Series 11. Maybe the abandoned spiders from Arachnids in the UK just get unleashed and swarm,
What?
attacking Tim Shaw or preventing Ryan and Graham from getting to him. You could easily
What?
What? What?
This is weird.
What the fuck are you saying?
You know, it's funny because about 10 seconds ago, I was about to say this is his least Tismy one so far, but now he's done said this.
Tim Shaw defeated by spiders.
Defeated by the
Fucking
Pating.
insane.
Oh, the fucking pating.
Yeah, they just hold Tim Shaw down. The Pating just eats him.
Do you remember the end of Revolution where Ryan says the mighty pating? That was so cringe.
easily do the same with the King. Maybe the pilots from Saranga are caught up in the conflict. Bubble wrap.
What?
The
Stop.
red-
No, thanks.
Stop.
No,
stop,
thanks.
Stop, please, mate. Stop, please. This is so bad because all of this shit is bad.
Sam, you do realize that if you introduce all these elements, that Ranskoll will end up being flabby.
It seems very busy.
Also, he's done the same thing he did in the past too. He's gone somewhere he can't go. He's suggesting they have other things from other episodes that are in other locations become part of
In
this
different
plot.
time periods.
Yeah, yeah. So he's doing the exact same thing that he wanted to do with Last of the Time Lords and Journey's End.
This is like a even shitter version of the portal scenes in Endgame.
Yeah, this is like this is a flabby Deus Ex Machina, like his other two ideas.
It seems like he's only got one idea.
Yeah, just literally go somewhere else or introduce other elements. That's all he has. And also that it's no surprise that he's such a fanboy for Moffat, because a lot of Moffat stories do that, where they will change location in a story, especially if it's two-parter.
Just depends on how it's executed.
Yeah,
Like,
no-
I think
Yeah.
Series 5 does it well,
But-
but other seasons don't.
Yeah, but this is the thing, though, is that Sam is seeing this purely as new things are happening. This is good.
References to previous things that
Yeah.
you recognize.
Yeah, do you remember,
good.
guys? Do you remember the Pating?
I wish I didn't.
The remnants. In fact, I would actually change the planet. Fuck Ranskorav, whatever. It's now the planet from the Ghost Monument. It's desolation. Just in the attempt to try and make sense of Series 11.
Man,
She
that's
didn't
pretty
leave those
convenient
spiders.
that
It's
Tim-
fine that
Well,
the story
actually-
was left half finished and unsatisfying.
Well, the remnants
Well,
were
if it
part of
was
the. They were part of the Stenza
Dissolution-
plot, weren't they? And also the
that G would be fine.
the sniper bots are also in Ranskoll, if you remember.
Huh. That actually probably would have worked better if they just had it be the same planet.
Though the weird thing
As you
is
said,
the
then
weird
the
thing
God
is
part of
that
the episode though would be
the
strange to get
weird-
into the episode.
But the weird thing is that it means that Tim Shaw would have been on the planet when they were there on the Ghost Monument.
Well, this is a different time. I don't know.
I guess so.
Finally.
Because isn't...
I've always
Oh wait, no,
felt
no,
like
hang on,
what
no, no, it
happened-
can't be. It can't be a different time because they didn't travel in the TARDIS,
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
and Tim Shaw didn't
That's
travel in
actually
time
completely
either.
true. Yeah, that's completely true. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
felt that Series 11 was kind of patchy with the resolutions. So what if they
That's an
actually
understatement.
made use of this fact and brought them all back for the finale? Other stories have
That'd be
done this
busy.
before. It's not as tacky as it sounds.
But no. Sam, mate, you just have one idea and you're just putting it on every story. And it's not working.
Nah.
A good man goes to war. I think even Time Flight technically did this. And if you want to follow in the footsteps of anything, it better be Time Flight.
No.
Last of all, the timeless.
I know he's being
Dude,
ironic.
wasn't-
I know he's being ironic, by the way.
Okay.
I can tell.
Alright. So I guess that was it then. I guess that's Arachnus and the
Timeless Children.
not Arachnus, sorry.
Ranscore.
Battle Skull of Collars. Blah, blah, blah.
I just call it Rand.
Terrible name for an episode.
Jay calls it Rand Score. That's much easier.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I guess that
Children.
was
This one-
that.
Okay, so now this is going to be the big one. Because,
What thing is he?
I mean, if I were
is he
to-
gonna?
Oh, because Timeless Children is on. You know, we were talking earlier about, maybe, there's some stories. It's like, I like your idea, but, your execution isn't great. And,
Timeless Children
just
is
constructive criticism.
Timeless Children's terrible on every writing level possible.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's a bad
it
idea
is
from the
bad
get-go.
from the concept.
Yeah, the
So
only-
it's the kind of thing that we were talking.
The
where
only
you
things
just have
I
to scrap the
the
episode.
only things I like about the episode aren't to do with the writing.
I don't
none of
remember
it.
liking anything.
So,
about
some
it.
of the-
I think it's
The
not
some of the music bits are alright.
So Seigen Akinola's music's really good, and there's some pretty shots and some good CGI. And there's probably something else I can't remember. But everything to do with Chibnall's writing is absolutely dire. So, and that's not just execution; that's at a conceptual level as well. Yeah.
a bit big, a bit tougher. It's more of a general problem to fix. You can't edit The Timeless Children without editing the entirety of Series 12. But I'm gonna try anyway. There are much bigger fish to fry than the brain of Morbius heads. No, for me, you fix The Timeless Children by fixing the Sasha Master. Does it bug me that no care was taken into where he comes in the timeline? A little bit, but it's not important. Does it bug
is
me
important.
that
It is
Fuck
important.
off for saying it
It
isn't.
is important.
It is important.
It's important. So important that now you have to consume third-party content to know the answer. Big Finish have now gone ahead and done a whole Lumiat storyline that explains how Missy became Sasha the One, but that shouldn't exist. Like, you shouldn't have to do that. It's very
so
important.
They're never going to explain the show then.
No, they're never going to explain it in the TV show because it was all explained in Big Finish.
Well, then
It
fuck
was
Chibnall.
people used to theorize that it was a master like between John
Yeah.
Sim and Missy, because it's like it
Yeah,
couldn't be
well,
after Missy.
that's
it's
not-
completely undermining her
well,
character arc in
Ma-
Series 10.
Well, Marcus, I'm sorry, but that's not canon. Dewan is now confirmed after Missy due to Big Finish.
Oh no, I definitely get that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that that's what people used to theorize, because you can't have him being after Missy. It's
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah.
You're destroying this character arc that Missy went through, which is like Series 10 is actually good. Like, it's not phenomenal. But
I will
it is pretty
say,
good.
I
It's
will
like-
say, I do think there are some issues with Missy's arc anyway, but that's not the point. The point is that she has an end in the Doctor Falls, and then the
Yeah.
Master
Yeah.
comes back, and it's never explained in the TV show. It's completely ambiguous, and the Doctor never asks about it either.
which is also out of character for the Doctor, but alright.
And so, to actually know what happens, you have to listen to Missy's Big Finish range, where you find out what happens to her after the Doctor falls. And
Which, in theory, nothing should happen, right? Because that episode is just really final in terms of Missy's character. It's like, this is she's done, she's dead.
Well, yeah, literally, what would
Right.
have happened is because Big Finish, obviously are doing the whole Missy series, but like they would have called, because obviously they call the showrunners about continuity. They do it all the time. Like with the War Master, they called RTD about it. So with this, they would have called Chris Chibnall and said, well, is Sasha the one after Missy? And he would have said, well, yeah, he is. And they're like, oh, okay, well, now
No.
And now they're like, well, now we need a storyline to explain how Missy became Sasha Dewan. So they came up with the Lumiat, which is like a there's a thing in Classical called the Valiard, which is like an amalgamation of the Doctor. It's like a little. It's hard to explain, but it's like an evil Doctor. But they basically came up with a storyline of Big Finish called the Lumiat, which is like the Valiard, except it's like a good version of the Master. And that's how it carries over to Sasha Dewan, apparently. But
That's strange, alright.
but it's still, it's still very like, well,
Does the Star Wars thing where it has the third-party content explain its terrible plot holes?
yeah, that's what happened.
That's
And
a
I
sign
doubt
of
it
a great
explains
product.
it like extremely well, because considering how broken Chibnall's error is, I think it's hard to just fix it with a few
Yeah.
like audiobooks.
I wouldn't
I
be,
doubt it's
I wouldn't be,
working.
because I know that Chibnall was made showrunner before Series 10 went in production. So I think it's possible that Chibnall may have been planning to have the Master in his second series before Series 10 even was written. And that may be why.
Right.
Maybe.
And then when Series 10 came out, it didn't affect his decision. He's just like, well, I'm still going to do the same thing.
Because he doesn't care.
I guess he just didn't care.
Yeah, he's like, I want to do my story. I don't care about what happened before.
So he doesn't care. Yeah.
Yeah, what a faggot.
Consistent character was just swept under the rug? Yes. Big yes. Whether you liked the works of Moffat, whether you liked Missy is kind of irrelevant to the sake of a good ongoing story, no? If I don't like the
I
installment...
mean, I agree.
yeah.
Whether you like something or not is irrelevant, but whether something needs to be consistent or not is not irrelevant in terms of a good story. So,
Yeah.
because like he seems like he's using those terms interchangeably, which no.
It's so funny to me how, like, because I know that Sam hates the Dewan Master, like, with the burning passion, but he doesn't hate the fact that it's
Well, it is
inconsistent.
garbage.
He doesn't hate the fact that it's
That's-
inconsistent, though, which is arguably the worst thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really dumb.
Well, yeah, this master is like terrible. It's like the worst
Yeah.
master.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like the reason why Sam hates Dewan is that he finds him cringe, rather than the fact that he's inconsistent.
He is cringe, to be fair.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying, though, is these are the...
I mean, just literally rewatch that scene in Time as Children where the thing goes inside her and he laughs like Daffy Duck.
But that's what I'm saying. These are the standards that Sam is working with. He's going with the fact of,
Yeah.
rather than it being a contradiction to exist, it's more so he thinks Dewan is cringe to watch, and that's what makes him bad, and nothing else. It's really silly.
installment of something, I'd live in denial for the rest of my life that it happened. That's bad storytelling, my dude. So with one little change to the Master, I think we can save the Timeless Children. You may have even heard this idea going around already. In short, the Timeless Child is not the Doctor.
No, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. This
is
doesn't work. This
worse.
doesn't work. This doesn't work. This doesn't work. The reason why this doesn't work is because the Timeless Child has unlimited regenerations, and the Master died and came back by stealing a body because he ran out of regenerations. It wouldn't make sense.
It wouldn't make sense.
Would not make sense. It is absolutely 100% confirmed in The Deadly Assassin that the Master was on his last regeneration cycle before he turned into the Crispy Master, like the decaying corpse. It's implied it's Roger Delgado, but we don't know 100%. And there may have been another regeneration after that before he ended up being, a corpse. But it is confirmed in The Deadly Assassin that the Master ran out of regenerations, and that's why he's about to die. And in The Keeper of Traken, he ends up stealing Treemas's body, and that's when you get the Anthony Ainley Master. And his entire character as the Ainley Master is trying to find a new regeneration cycle, which is something the Time Lords offer him in the Five Doctors. So no, this wouldn't make sense. If the Timeless Child was the Master, it would actually possibly be even worse than if it was the Doctor.
Timeless
Why
Child.
do you have shit ideas?
If you keep the entire origin identical but bestow it instead to
No,
the Master,
it
a
would be just as
startling amount
bad.
starts to make sense.
No, it
You would
doesn't.
still have all the same issues with the backstory and how he's found and all that stuff. The person torturing him would still be fucking terrible.
Yeah, but just again, like I said, the actual problem is that the timeless child is invincible, so it wouldn't make any sense.
He hasn't had a single good idea.
It would almost begin to work. Well, for one,
it
it
doesn't.
explains his motivation as a villain. He's always yearned for
What?
immortality, but unconsciously,
But he
knows
has it, though.
actually used to have it. He was wronged
Used?
by his people.
Used?
And for that, you have an
Wait, how can you say he was
Menus.
wrong? He is literally dying. Can you see that man's face? He's decaying. What, you think that is all for show? Like it's like a perception filter, that corpse. It's not real.
Cool. It looks cool.
Looks cool.
Looks cool.
The reason why he looks like that is he's literally
'Cause
dying.
he's dying.
He's dying. He's hanging on to life by a thread on his last regeneration. It can't be a lie. That's bullshit.
actual good basis for the Master, for why he is the way he is. The Doctor, as a scruffy nomadic figure of goodness, doesn't need to be a somebody. Many fans don't even want the character to have a backstory at all, but that enigma isn't needed for the Master.
I mean, I agree. I don't want the Doctor to really have a backstory because I think it's kind of more it's a bit of the point of the character.
I mean,
It's
what's
fact that
the
he's just
what's the
a
show?
madman with the
What
box,
what's the show called?
Doctor Who, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, and whenever it tries to answer it, like with what they did in Series 7, I think it does really poorly with trying to bait any kind of answers about his origin and his previous life. I just think it's trying too hard to keep the mystery, but also
The
try
only
to answer something.
the only time that question was actually answered in a satisfying way was in the War Games when we found out that he was a Time Lord. That's it. That's the only time it's actually worked, I think. Because what they were trying to do with the Seventh Doctor didn't actually happen on TV because the show was cancelled. But the actual War Games was something that did happen, and finding out that the Doctor was a Time Lord was actually a satisfying answer, and it still left a lot up to interpretation. It still left a lot as a mystery. It just told us what species he was and where he was from. And it did world building about who the Time Lords are and why he ran away from Gallifrey. That's it. That's the only, that is probably the only time that question being answered has actually worked. Whereas in this instance, it doesn't at all.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of the same with the Master. I kind of don't want the Master's past to be revealed. It's way more interesting.
I think the
mysterious character have a mysterious antagonist.
Yeah, like the things we hear about their past in stories is really interesting. Like when we hear about, in John Pertwee's era, how he talks about how they were at the academy together and how they grew apart, and then you get stuff like The Sound of Drums and Last of the Time Lords where they explain that part of their history, and then you get the Big Finish Audio Master, which goes into it gives an explanation for what happened. And why the Master became the way he is. It's really interesting. But then you get this would just ruin all that, not only because it doesn't make sense, but because it's completely unnecessary.
Explorations into how this character was created are actually some of his most beloved stories. If you make him
Yeah, but these were actually done well.
What? That's crazy.
Master and the Sound of Drums actually makes sense.
Yeah.
It's cringe.
Also, he is right about them being beloved, though, because these two stories are probably my favourite stories with the Master in them, in the whole franchise. So
They're very good shit.
Very good.
Sound of Drums I haven't listened to Master, but I
Master.
imagine it's probably good.
It's my favourite.
Really a lot better
It's my favourite Seventh Doctor story. It's
Neat.
so good, and Jay is the same opinion.
I need to start listening to more Big Finish.
It's good. It's good stuff, Marcus. It's really good. It's much better than whatever Chris Chibnall's been doing.
That's not
Not a high bar.
Well,
but-
apart from Necromantia, that one's awful. But that's like the only truly diabolical story in the first 100 Big Finish releases, I think. There's a couple that are bad, but that's the only one that's like truly diabolical.
Hey, that's pretty good considering
It's a good run.
the amount of stories.
It's a good run for the first. Oh no, it's not first 100. It's first 50 because I haven't heard all the first 100. Anyway,
Right.
In the Timeless Child, he's instantly more sympathetic, even for raising
What?
Gallifrey. If his message in Spyfall Part 2 was instead designed to sway the Doctor to his side rather than hurt her, it can actually even continue the Missy arc. Yeah, so I burned Gallifrey, but it's a good thing, and I'm going to show
What?
you that it's a
No.
good thing. I'm going to make you see how I see, because we're friends.
Okay, that delivery is really cringe. It's annoying me. But the fact that like there's no way the Doctor would change in such a way. Like I don't think the Master would ever do something like, yeah, I burned an entire our entire home planet and it's a good thing. Like I don't think the Master would say that to the Doctor
Nothing
because he
you would
knows.
say would convince her.
yeah.
Anyway.
So
That's really strange.
Game Troller Prime, I know what you're saying about the Doctor being on his deathbed in Time of the Doctor. What I'm saying is that Chris Chibnall applying that to either of the Doctor or the Master doesn't make sense. It's actually a semantic that I agree with you. It's not a disagreement. I didn't say that it doesn't make sense of the Doctor. Sorry, I didn't say it does make sense. It doesn't make sense of the Doctor as well. Like it's both. It doesn't make sense of either. It doesn't make sense of the Master because we see him dying in Deadly Assassin, and it doesn't make sense of the Doctor because we see him dying in Time of the Doctor. Both scenarios don't make sense. So yeah, either person you'd put this Timeless Child thing on, it doesn't work.
Yeah, almost like it's a complete retcon. It just doesn't make any fucking sense.
Ooh, what? Nah.
Yeah, the thing is though, retcons can actually be good. Like Genesis of the Daleks is a prime example of that. It's a retcon of the Daleks' history, but it actually works and it actually makes the story better.
Yeah, I think people use retcon. It's already like inherently a bad thing when it's
those
not.
two stories that he put on screen, Master and Sound of Drums, retcon the Master's backstory, but both of them work.
They still function.
Yeah, it's just I think people use retcon as like to mean a negative
Automatically
thing.
bad.
Yeah, but retcon just means retroactive continuity. So it's like anything that changes like retroactively with new information.
Yeah.
So retcon aren't
The
inherently
Timeless Child is a retcon that doesn't make sense. That's the
bad. Yeah,
problem.
it damages a lot retroactively.
Yeah. It's also funny how he just glosses over how it doesn't make sense that the Master can even destroy Gallifrey, despite the fact that a Dalek Empire at the height of his power couldn't.
Yeah.
Like they went to war.
Yeah, but remember what Strange Folk said, it's not about how, it's about what. And it's about why.
I guess he just found that doomsday button from the Day of the Doctor and pressed it, and that was it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all the Master.
Yeah,
has to do.
they just left it inside the barn, just like in a little box.
Yeah, they thought the pressing it once means that you know it'll never work again, so they left it inside the bar.
Yeah.
We're friends. We are close, and we're at the stage in our relationship where we can admit that to one another. And if we really are as close as you claim, then you'll be angry.
Oh,
right
his dialogue's so
alongside.
bad.
That dynamic is one of the only good continuations of the Missy stuff I can even think of.
No,
if
it's
you
not.
have to continue the Missy stuff, this is how I would want it to be done.
You don't have
Master
to continue
as
the
a
Misty stuff.
wronged, unhinged
yeah.
ally who
You
has
could also just
justifiably
be a
done
past
something
master.
terrible is the only natural place to take their relationship.
The Master as a dangerous ally is something that has been done before, though, and it's been done way better than what he's suggesting.
Why do
I
we
mean,
have to
that's
act
been
as if
done
this
in
Master
the
has to
Dr.
become
Falls.
Master Missy.
I don't get it.
The Master hasn't become good.
If you're gonna change
per
it, just
se,
make him
but he's
before
been
Missy.
forced to accept a part of the Doctor's perspective. Through Missy, he had to balance himself out. And now this Master asks the same of the Doctor.
Okay, so what he's trying to do is he's trying to contrive a way for the Missy arc to continue with this Master, but he does it in a way
Yeah.
that doesn't work because it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how the Rags in Ghost Monument know about the Timeless Child.
Yeah, well, Rags knew about the Timeless Child because he invented the Tim Shaw character.
Yes.
Raggaroony.
Flipping script. This way, they're still opposed, but we can explore new territory with them as pseudo-friends. The Doctor can be genuinely hurt by and for him, as this revelation does change their entire shared history. It's all the best parts of Missy and all the best parts of Sim. You have an unpredictable ally who's still dangerous. A crazy, vulnerable...
So just your solution is to give him traits that previous masters had that you like, but without actually making them work.
Not reinvent him in a satisfying and new way that makes sense for the master's character.
He's basically, his solution is something that Chibnall already does is just homogenize previous elements and stitch them together without thinking about how they work.
Yeah, not thinking about how the context.
It's just like, you know,
doesn't really.
Yeah,
work.
it's just like kind of like what he did with some of Jodie's traits, stitching together traits from previous Doctors like Tennant and Smith at a surface level, but without actually thinking about how they work. It's like, I find that interesting how Samuel Davis takes so much issue with Chibnall's writing, yet his suggestions to solve the issues are very similar.
It's Chibnall writing.
Yeah, very similar to what Chibnall actually does.
This is just like a different type of Chibnall writing. And it's shit.
vulnerable madman, but also the genuine unpredictability and depth that you would expect.
Oh, it's unpredictable, therefore it's good.
Unpredictable means it's good.
Yeah.
Unpredictable means it's good. If you can't predict it, fucking good.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right?
For villain,
something can be easily predictable and be good. That's
not
that's the hot
buddy,
take.
but the master.
Yeah, so obviously Revenge of the Sith has a lot of problems, but one of the reasons why a lot of people like that film is because they know what's going to happen. They know that Anakin's going to turn to Vader at the end, and yet they're still invested anyway.
Which is something that actually I think a lot of people excuse the film for, because his turn in Revenge of the Sith, I think it's really rushed. But because people already know he's going to turn into Vader, they excuse it because of they already know where he's going to end up. So.
Yeah. But that's what I mean is the reason why they're invested in it. It doesn't matter that it's predictable. It's the fact that they're really invested in Anakin's character, and they are desperately not wanting him to turn to the dark side, but they have to watch him do it in painstaking detail. And so that's an example of storytelling where something is predictable, but it's still investing for an audience in that sense. So it doesn't have to be unpredictable to be good.
You know, something else that's predictable, when you rewatch something, it loses its in unpredictability.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, just say something is predictable, it's kind of worthless as it needs to be unpredictable to be good. It's like when you rewatch, it's not unpredictable. So does that just not become
given the fact how
rewatch
in stories now, there's hardly anything that can actually be original because something always comes from something.
Yeah,
kind of a useless argument.
Authenticity these days is it's marked by being inspired rather than being original.
A film like Extraction, as an example, is a bit predictable, but that doesn't mean that it's predictable means it's bad.
Yeah, it's a pretty good film. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's a very solid.
Yeah, it's not trying to change up the genre
action movie with like a veteran lead in a battle.
Well, I think
with some history.
I think
it's very paint by numbers, but it's still solid.
Well, I think just what Marcus put forward before about whenever you rewatch anything and you already know what happens.
Mm-hmm.
That applies to literally anything.
Yep.
And I can tell you,
it'll become predictable.
I can tell you for a fact, when I rewatched The Timeless Children for the second time, it was absolutely not good at all.
I've rewatched Blind Manor 3 times, but the benefit I got from it was the fact I knew how things functioned and how it all pieced together.
Yeah, well,
because it was going to happen.
Yeah, so
the second watch was probably my favorite because I already knew everything that happened, so I was paying attention to a lot more details.
Yeah, so
that was the same when I watched it with you, Marcus.
With the Timeless Children, it was the opposite. The first time I watched it, I had the novelty of surprise. The second time I watched it, that was gone, and everything as a result suffered.
Mm-hmm.
Master can still keep things on their toes as to what kind of archetype he even is in the series at this point. And then The Timeless Children is an episode where they more or less come to terms with it, even if you kept the same story structure. God, the split identity even ties in thematically with the Lone Cyberman.
Fuck off. Don't even try to act like the Lone Cyberman was good.
I just want to point out, Sam, it's been said before, themes are great, but they're icing on the cake. You can't have icing without the cake. If you have icing on a plate, it doesn't work. It's not a meal.
I mean, the icing tastes nice, but there's nothing real.
It's not.
There's nothing.
You can't
it's
sell.
meant to be in service or something.
Okay,
no
if you're
substance.
if you're in a shop that sells cakes, like a dine-in service, you can sell a cake without icing, but you can't sell icing without a cake. It's a fact. That's true.
The story needs to reinforce the theme it's trying to put forth instead of the theme is going to carry the story.
Yeah.
Because when you have something like The Last Jedi where it says failure is the greatest teacher, but then when Poe succeeds in the beginning of the film, he's viewed as wrong, and by that he learns to change, even though his change makes no sense because he didn't actually fail. He didn't actually learn from failure. So that action is contradicting the theme of the film.
Yeah.
So it's like it's the one needs to work with the other. So when you have something like Blind Manor where it's like everything works together, what makes it thematically work so well is because the events of the story always support the themes it's trying to put forth about grief and whatever.
Last of the Time Lords, not believing in a falsehood and not seeing reality, is the theme that's throughout Series 3, and that's supported by how good the writing is and how it functions. Because all of the writing for the characterization and the plot supports that theme and doesn't contradict it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all sitting there, but no. Chibnall had to go for the controversial game changer because he read it in some books in the 1990s. And yeah, that's me. I'm done. I'm Diz.
Well, that's it.
That's it. That was shit. That was fucking
okay.
awful.
That was really bad.
Yeah.
So we had the same idea 3 times.
Yeah, he did.
And then
was
the
shit
last,
off 3 times.
then the Timeless Children was like some weird, like uncharacteristic ending that didn't make any sense with the Master.
And the funny thing is that in the middle of that, I found a way to make Rand score better, like just by myself on the not even. And I would assume that he would have spent time thinking about this video. I literally did that on the spot. I just came up with a way to make Rand score better.
Did he though?
Well, no idea. I'm just gonna assume.
Considering it was the same idea 3 times, and then the Master being the Timeless Child.
Yeah, it's true.
Don't know how much time he actually spent on the ideas.
Anyway, but like I came up with a way to make Rand score a bit better on the spot. So, yeah, not to toot my own horn, but I think my idea was better than yours, Sam. Just saying.
How dare you?
Yeah, this wasn't a very good video. It was just very, very poorly argued in favor of these new ideas.
Yeah. Also,
Because the
like
ideas they had just didn't work.
yeah. Also, like with something like Last of the Time Lords, if you have access to the master files and all of the editing, like all of the editing sequences, you could redo the CGI and make it better. Like that's actually a fix you could do to the episode if you did it again. Whereas with something like the Timeless Children or Randscore, you can't fix it. Like the writing is timeless and it is fucked.
And that's the thing that most people praise about Doctor Who is that despite its production value, the writing is just really good.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what it's famous for.
The absolute the pinnacle of that is a story in Classic Who called The Ark in Space, where Robert Holmes' writing is absolutely stellar. But the infection, where an infection on the guy's arm is green bubble wrap. But it doesn't matter that it's green bubble wrap, because the writing and the acting and the production is so good that it makes up for that. Like the production otherwise. And also, at the time, bubble wrap wasn't a household item, so people didn't really know what it was. So it actually was quite creepy, seeing like, that on someone's hand. So, yeah. It's funny how like Doctor Who is known for having really good writing despite its production values, yet Chris Chibnall's era seems to be the opposite, where the production values are pretty good, but the writing is awful.
Yeah, it's praised for the superficial, which is just completely goes against what the show.
Well, yeah, that's what I said.
always
Like,
was.
you know, my favorite thing about Timeless Children is the music, but that's not the writing.
Yeah.
Callum,
Yes.
how much time do you have left? Because we spent quite a bit on
About
that.
50 minutes.
Right. I think we may have to skip the second video that we were meant to do, like the one where he reads from the book. I think we have to skip that and do it on another EDAR. So like, I think his name's Isaac. I can't remember, but sorry if you're watching that. Sorry we didn't get to it this time. We'll probably do it another time. But I just really, really want to show both of you the Will Maddox meme compilation.
All right.
Yeah.
Because that's like, I had that in mind. It's like, that's the reward you get for suffering through this.
I sure
was
so
really
hope
bad.
it's worth it. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, just have to go and find it first. But yeah, no, that was a very Tismy video, wasn't it?
It was
Yeah.
very poorly argued with just impossibilities that he just didn't think of 3
Yeah, like
times.
I've been thinking of making videos rewriting a couple episodes. Like 42 is probably the main one because I think the concept of having 42 minutes to save everyone is really neat, and they just don't do anything within the episode. But it's like when you do something like this, it's like, or you're just really not doing really well what you should be doing in terms of rewriting. You're just
I'll just be
creating more
back in
issues.
a minute. I'll be back in a minute.
All right.
No worries.
Yeah. But yeah, 42 I think is an episode that could have been really cool because it's a really cool concept, but it's fucking garbage.
Yeah, and I did that. The episode runtime is involved with the actual plot. It's a very unique concept.
But they
then
don't do that in the
The
episode. for some reason.
writer is Chris Chibnall.
Yeah. Because what I think it could be really neat is to try something that I have never seen in Doctor Who, where you have an entire episode that's a oneer. Because, you know, it's 42 minutes. You're going to, what you're going to do is you're going to follow the story in real time, kind of like, you know, 1917. And the episode is just like, I don't know, 43 minutes. It's just pretty much them solving it and then going away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just the 42 minutes they have to solve it. And then you can actually try to tell a story with what's going wrong. It's not just that you got energy off a sun and the sun got mad at you, so it's sucking you in. And it's possessing people inside the ship because it doesn't like that you got fuel from it, even though you also have the reserves, you know, the emergency fuel or whatever the fuck that they use in the end of the episode. So it's just pointless. Like, there's a lot you could do with the concept of just these people have 42 minutes to save everyone, and they're trapped from they're trapped inside a ship, and like, because that's pretty much the concept of Midnight, only it's, you know, a ship. And I think it could be really neat to explore that, but
Would be
Chibnall doesn't
really
do it.
neat. Would be
Yeah,
really
you don't
neat.
really have any characters in the episode.
No,
Like,
they don't.
they're either really thin or really dumb.
No, they're really
So
flabby,
There's
Marcus.
the one character. Yeah, the one character just goes like, "Mate, we're friends," and that's it. That's what the characterization he
God.
gets.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so this video is made by my dear friend Will Maddox. Because he left Twitter a few months ago, but when he was on Twitter for about, I don't know, I think it was about 5 years he was on Twitter, he was known as like the biggest meme lord in the Doctor Who fandom. He would always make like really funny memes and post them. He basically assorted a compilation of all the ones that he made into a half-hour video, and he released this pretty recently. I've seen it once before, and I thought I would show both of you it. Yeah, so I would say this is kind of you guys, as your reward for going through that Samuel Davis video.
All right.
So, are you ready for some Doctor Who memes?
Yeah, I'm ready.
This is our, you know how there's meme fat? This is like our meme dar.
Memed,
Yeah. Anyway.
So, 2020-ish?
Speaking of, Oh god.
Oh my god.
This is a nightmare already. I agree. Well, speaking of Genesis, this is a great story, by the way.
If I may have your attention. I am anxious. This meeting is ended.
Oh, that's great.
To select audio navigation, press enter now.
Oh, god.
To select
Oh, but
audio
this is,
navigation, press enter.
It's on all the DVDs.
To
is
select
like-
audio navigation,
Oh,
press enter.
yeah.
To select audio navigation, press enter now.
So is space engine oil.
No.
Someone wants a word with you.
Oh, yes, this is great. Oh, that's-
You upset my mum!
I'm from Earth. I'm the examiner.
oh no. Oh, I've seen this
Dragging
one.
around the universe with a dormant gravis on the console.
The reincarnation of Yataxa will prove to the people that you don't need to sacrifice a human being in order to make it rain. Make it rain. Make it rain. Make it rain.
No.
Hello, I'm the Doctor.
Oh, it's Adventure Games.
Impeccable credentials, sir.
Totally insane.
You killed Perry?
Doctor's on a friend! Stuck on a friend! Stuck on Doctor's on a friend! Doctor's on a
Now, suppose I leave you here.
Oh no.
Hurry, hurry!
Oh my god, it doesn't stop.
And if you want to remember me, then you can do one thing. That's
Aww.
all. One thing.
Oh, I love this movie. It's so great.
Yep.
Press enter now.
Do that for me, Rose.
Select audio navigation.
Just stop it! What are you doing?
Oh no. Oh no.
That failed!
I was wondering where that had got to.
No, sir.
Oh no. Oh no.
What do we do?
Oh, this joke is so shit.
Suppose we'll have to have a conversation.
That theme is so good.
Oh no.
Do you ever look at someone and wonder what is going on inside their head?
But keep your eyes open for tissue deterioration.
Like this?
Pickled in pickles, like
Oh,
pickles,
dear.
pickled,
Mistress Riley, the
the
time
fuck?
tunnel is ready.
This is Dimensions in Time.
pickled, pickled to pickled.
Oh my God,
is
this one was
pickled,
awful.
Pickles, between pickles,
Pickles.
pickles, pickles.
God, all the stuff we've mentioned is
It'll
just
drive them. Pickles.
it's all come together.
Funniest shit I've ever seen.
This place about to
is Remembrance, isn't it? Yes, it is.
Oh my god.
He's a flying beastie!
Big beauty, bitches.
Great speech.
You're not looking at the statue.
Oh no. What's the statue?
There were other reasons?
The main reason was the Guardians themselves. They were
What the
simps.
fuck?
No, I read your file. You're a champion sprinter.
Got me.
To select audio navigation,
Oh
press
no. Oh no. I remember this.
Coming soon
fuck is
from
that?
Big Finish. Big Finish. We love stories.
What helps me get over losing Rose? Throwing the sickest dad.
I wouldn't even say no to a salami.
I like those.
Oh no, Judy's end.
To select audio navigation, press enter.
Oh.
I know.
Oh no. So depressing. This is how I feel during the chiller.
Yeah. It's just still like frustrating with each episode.
Gentlemen, please, I am still waiting for some decision on my particular problems.
Well, as you say, Brigadier, they are your problems. Please deal with them as you see fit.
A question.
Yes?
Isn't anybody going to pay any attention to that computer out there?
That computer
Oh,
is
no.
oversensitive. Its data is unreliable.
You talk about the thing as though it was your maiden aunt.
My own calculations are more specific.
Yes, well, I'll tell you something that should be of vital interest to you, Professor.
But what?
That you, sir, are a nitwit.
Build up.
To select audio navigation, press enter now.
Now, which one? Zoe? Oh my word, Zoe!
Enter.
Oh no. Can't obey, can I?
You're expecting someone else?
I watched this the other day.
So fill up your glasses.
Oh yes. Oh, I like this one. Yeah. Oh, such a good meme.
Yay, it's Patrick Troughton.
Yeah.
2, 1, here goes.
Oh no. That's a good joke.
This is getting ridiculous.
I'm not saying a word.
I'm certain I've fixed it.
Yeah, by fuck's sake. I fucking knew it.
Off your ass. And
What the fuck?
I'm really very sorry.
Oh no, what's she gonna whisper?
Jim the fish.
That whole thing was just
oh, that's so good.
The Daleks won't thank you for capturing me. They'll kill you.
I didn't quite tell you the truth.
Oh,
I serve the Daleks. I'm a
Champion sprinter.
To select audio navigation, press enter.
I agree.
Of course, now I realize that your behavior simply derives from a subtransitory experiential hypertoid-induced condition, aggravated, I expect, by multi-encephalogical tensions.
I'm not working for the Cybermen. I'm in the same predicament as you. Look around you.
I think he means he's also a prisoner.
More likely a spy. Well, we all know the fate
Oh no.
of alien spy.
Oh, that's a good joke.
I think they're too keen on visitors.
Come on, Sam. The shit cinematography in season 12.
There's a good lad.
Oh no. Oh no.
Look at that green screen.
To select audio navigation.
What he thinks about before regeneration.
He just goes to die because he sees that.
Oh my god, what's this episode called?
Night Terrors.
Oh fuck that episode. Nothing happens.
This my shit. All the girls stomp your feet like this. A few times I've been around that track, so it's not just gonna happen like that. Cause I know blood back girl. I know blood back girl.
You know, this is balmy. Here am I, calmly discussing fabulous planets with blue moons, giant spiders, magic crystals, as if I was talking about, pussy.
Oh no.
Doctor, I did say
Oh,
look for the
poor
spy
Levin.
master. Or should I say spy master?
Oh no. What's gonna happen?
I love the Clara theme.
It's great that Marcus hasn't seen any of Classic Who.
I know.
All this kind of moments are great.
Oh no.
Oh, yes. What the fuck?
Ah.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
That's a warning.
This is amazing.
It's not good.
To select audio navigation,
No.
press enter now.
I'm just love clocks. Atomic clocks, war quartz clocks, grandfather soul lying. Shut up, cuckoo clocks.
And to protect his brain from radiation, he always wore a fez.
Never put in a trap.
What would that be, sir?
Me.
Oh, don't stop playing, Doctor. You're so near the end. Soon you'll discover whether or not you've got the sequence right. I think you need help. At this rate, you'll finish your game long before Stephen and Dodo find the TARDIS. Only 72 moves to go. There's no point in giving you back your power and speech if you're going to just sit there silent and stolid.
Jesus.
Oh no, you are going to sing.
Well, yes, I am.
Yeah, I've seen this one. It's great.
Doctor! You got your death!
The fuck? What's funny is that this is story.
It was pretty obvious, but it's still funny.
If you could keep that exactly that distance away and have it here, the large one would fit inside a small one.
Explain to me how this tar
That's silly.
Doctor, you cannot afford to improvise against an armed android.
I have no intention of doing so now. If you quite finish lecturing me, if you quite finish lecturing me, if you quite finish lecturing me, if you quite finish lecturing me.
Oh no.
Oh no.
It's all the missing episodes.
Oh, that's great. This is a good meme. Oh no.
I would say there's a chance you may get hit with copyright because of the Toy Story 3.
Oh, it's covered. I've got it covered on the screen.
Ah, good.
The child is you.
Oh no, not this.
You are the timeless child.
Yes or yes. Yes.
River. Who are you?
Yes.
Honestly, I prefer that.
It was that.
Knowing what I know about Series 6.
Yeah, that was 6, right? Yes.
Oh, boost below.
To select audio navigation, press enter now.
How? How?
That's...
No! Don't! You can't!
Where are the others? When Osgood used the controls, Pop tried to stop him. Osgood killed him.
This is fantastic. What about Phipps?
Well, he was injured too. I've put him under sedation.
This is fantastic. And you?
There's nothing wrong with me.
This is fantastic. You look frightened.
If you'd seen Osgood die, wouldn't you be?
How did he die?
His body's outside. He just went out.
This is fantastic. Without a pressure suit. I see. This is fantastic.
Oh no.
Oh no.
The scene everyone forgets.
Family.
About Hellbent.
Family violence. This is Death in Heaven.
Well, no, people forget that scene. They're talking about Hellbent. Oh no. Somebody he regenerated.
Very quickly.
Hey, maybe he sneezed.
What the fuck?
Coming soon from Coming Soon Productions. Coming soon, the Coming Soon Adventures. Volume 1. Coming soon.
I
received a communication from the Earthbound ships.
Oh no.
We have a message for the human race.
Put it through. Let's hear it. To select audio navigation, press enter now. To select audio navigation, press enter now. To select audio navigation.
Along with the Daleks theme. Oh god.
To select audio navigation, press enter now. To select audio.
I'm going to turn off this one too, just for a moment.
Are you sure about this?
No.
Oh, I love this moment. Oh. Never mind.
Right.
Oh, that was great editing.
Doctor, you idiot.
Look into my eye. Oh, that was so bad.
Poor Max.
It's like Inception.
Oh my god. That would have improved the episode, to be honest.
Yep. I would generally like to hear the reason why he would have to do that so many times.
Yeah.
Oh no, Ransicle.
He's like, you shot me, but that version killed because I was inside him, so I need to get another version to go inside that other version instead of the first version.
Your whole race dead. No future. What couldn't you do then? If you were that old and that kind, and the very last of your kind, you couldn't just stand there and watch.
The jiggly. Oh, fuck, he doesn't have the
Amazing,
to
don't you
do.
think? The star whale. All that pain and misery
Kerrigan's great.
and
Yeah.
loneliness.
She probably hates her acting in Series 5.
Very old and very kind, and the very, very last. Sound a bit familiar?
No. I love that joke. What is it?
I don't get it.
Oh no.
Switch it off! Switch it off! The doctor's being tricked into believing that that was the real trial room. The Valeyard's illusion has deliberately taken advantage of the doctor's romantic nature. He's convinced he must sacrifice himself. And we're all content to let him.
We cannot interfere.
Well, I can. Switch it off! The doctor's being tricked into believing that that was the real trial room. The Valeyard's illusion has deliberately taken advantage of the doctor's romantic
This is such a Rick and Morty joke.
He's convinced he must sacrifice himself. We're all content to let him. The doctor's being tricked into believing that that was the real trial room.
Right, fire away, I'm ready.
That would actually honestly be a great Rick and Morty joke.
Yeah.
To select audio navigation, press
For
enter.
fuck's sake.
Oh.
Doctor, you've got it all wrong.
Oh dear, can I have that again, please?
Well, they don't give you second shots.
You've encountered the angels before? Once on Earth a long time ago, but those were scavengers barely surviving.
Oh, a telly sound.
That's a good joke. That's a really good joke.
Only a hardcore fan would know that kind of joke.
How are we?
That's impossible.
Grace.
Friends, companions I've known, I salute you.
Just gross, because if you don't watch Big Finish, it doesn't make sense. That's a good joke.
Now we know what we're up against. Every
tiny person who has insecticide
for dinner will become violently ill in the next half hour.
Just how serious is it, Doctor?
Extremely serious. Starts with a slight fever, dryness of the throat. As the
Insecticide
penetrates the red blood cells, the victim becomes dizzy. Begins to experience an itching, a rash. From there, the poison goes to work on the central nervous system, causing severe muscle spasms. followed by the inevitable drooling. At this point, the entire digestive system collapses, accompanied by uncontrollable flatulence, until finally the poor bastard is reduced to a quivering, wasted piece of jelly.
That's a good... Yep, simple. Oh god, fugitive. Oh no.
Okay, well,
Leave the man. It's the girl I want.
Oh no, what's gonna happen?
That's a great shot. No, she's gonna get the door, isn't she?
Bits of dead Cybermen floating in space.
Thanks, General. Oh, fuck off.
Oh my god.
Bloody Nightmare Sim is so shit.
Doctor! Doctor!
Oh god, I was using 11th Doctor's music.
That's why.
Yeah.
To select.
Oh no. Look out, Susan.
I'm supposed to run, right? Okay. I'm ready. I'm ready. Help! Oh, now I'm gonna fall and break my leg, leaving me helpless.
What the fuck?
I've seen that. It's
There
Scary
you go,
Movie
Mr.
1, I
Scary
think.
Killer.
Yeah,
I'm
I
panicking
imagine
now.
it is.
I think it is, yeah.
Guys, somebody please.
It's definitely a parody, Phil.
Yeah.
To select audio navigation, press enter now.
It's all the memes. What's behind the door?
Shush. Hello, I'm the doctor.
Oh no.
Oh.
5 rounds, rapid.
Fucking hell. Fucking hell.
Leave me no choice. I'm
Oh,
a
no.
Time Lord!
For minutes. That's ages. What if I get bored? I need a television, couple of books, any more but chess. Bring me knitting.
No, not knitting. Oh yeah, I get it.
To select
Yeah.
audio navigation, press enter now.
Here's what our cameras in Hawaii.
Your eyes. You're younger than I've ever seen you.
The time will end.
The resulting explosion destroyed Scarrow.
The time has come for you to change your appearance, Doctor, and begin your exile.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No more.
No more.
No more.
Oh, well done.
That was brilliant.
Well done, Will.
That was awesome. Yeah.
What a way to bow out of your Twitter days with that. That is brilliant.
Yeah, that's some really good memes.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that was like years of work, but you know, it paid off.
Right.
Yeah.
To select
I think
audio
my favourite
navigation.
ones were like. I think one of my favourite ones was the Matt Smith, like whenever he yelled.
I am a time lord.
They're here.
That was amazing.
That's great.
Oh, so many good ones in there.
Certainly helped you with the other video I watched tonight. So
Yeah, like even the funny thing is they're really niche memes, but even out of context, you can still understand them to some extent.
yeah. I mean, I haven't seen like barely anything of classical, and can understand the context. So
Yeah.
pretty-
God, fucking love that. One of the last ones where they were like doing lines in the show and then having all this extended universe stuff that contradicts.
Thank you, EU.
Yeah, like the time to bring your exile. Beep, 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 beep. God. Oh, what a great video.
That was fun.
So fun. Oh, very satisfying. Yeah, we'll probably have to do. I'll probably have to do the other one that we had planned on a different EDAR when we have more time.
Yeah.
But,
Sounds good.
But yeah, I thought that went pretty well.
I'd say so.
Sure.
Yeah. Did you two have fun with that?
I had fun.
I had fun with the last video we watched. The first
not
one.
the first one.
Yeah.
The first one was just.
Artistic loves films. So the select audio navigation thing is what happens when you put in a Doctor Who DVD. It has that at the start. It's the Blu-rays as well, but the DVD is more long running, so they use that one. And it's like if you have a DVD collection, you'll know that because it plays every time you want to watch one. And it gets really annoying. So Will decided to have it like 20 times in this video.
Yeah, that's what I assumed the meme was. I didn't know the context, but
Yeah.
repeating itself.
I think one of my favorite ones of that one is in the Mind Robber when it's on the TARDIS scanner, and Zoe's about to press the enter button, then the Doctor comes. He's like, Zoe, no! Then she presses enter. Or the one from the Crotons where it's on the screen and he presses it, and then he's just like, "Oh, can I have a chance of that again?" He's just like, "You don't get second shots." Oh, so good.
A lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, there was a lot from the Angel two-parter actually. I noticed it was one of the most like recurring stories they used. Oh, and also Praxius as well.
Yeah, the joke of keep
on the beach,
running on beaches.
Yeah. Surprised that they didn't.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that he didn't include any of the Bad Wolf Bay ones, or like the one from Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. I'm surprised he didn't include that.
Oh, the trial room joke was fucking amazing.
Oh
yeah.
That actually might be the best joke.
Yeah, that was, and also the one where they go inside Tegan's eye and Kinder and Matt Smith's inside it.
Oh yeah, that's another one. That would be another Rick and Morty joke.
Yeah.
Both of those were great. It just keeps going and going because it just keeps going deeper and deeper.
Yeah, and then the bit where the fifth Doctor's like, "And if you've quite finished, and if you've quite finished."
I think my favourite edited one was the one where he had turned the torch off on the angels and they just didn't move.
And he's like, "Oh."
And it was like, oh. That was actually really well done.
Right then. Great stuff.
Good stuff.
Oh dear.
Thank everyone for coming and watching. It's been a good time.
Yeah.
It has been. Yeah. Good. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Oh yeah.
No worries.
I knew it would be good. The next time we do EDAR, we may get Jeb on actually, I reckon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because there's topical things to discuss.
Yeah, he needs to come and explain himself, the bastard.
Yeah.
Why must you ruin our favourite episodes?
Also, for the subscribers, after this live stream ends, I'm going to hit the upload button on the Terminus reaction, which will be on Patreon, and then shortly after that, the next day, it'll be public, so people have that to look forward to. Yeah, and then also after that, we've got stuff like King's Demons and The Awakening, which are filmed, and then there's also got to get back to season 2 of Game of Thrones. Got that to come. Full length reactions and also the reviews. So yeah, hopefully eventually I can catch up with all of those, and me and Callum can get right back to it, because
yes.
we all want to see Callum's reviews of season 8.
Yes. I'm curious what his reaction is gonna be.
It's gonna be so fun.
Yep. Because we're not gonna hold back. So.
Yeah. I remember when I first watched it with Daniel, I was kind of kind to it. I was just like, I wasn't happy, but I wasn't happy, but the production was pretty good, so I'll give it a 5 out of 10. But I don't think that's gonna happen this time. I don't think that's gonna happen this time.
You'd be lucky to get away with that.
Although there was that stream where me and Jake buried it, and that was great.
Yeah.
So yeah, either of you, if you need to go, you can leave whenever you want. It's up to you.
Yes, I will be going now, as I am going to go and sleep.
Yes.
Been a big, long day.
That's really cringe.
No.
Yeah.
Crying is cringe. You cry all the time. Cringe.
You need that flabby sleep.
Yes.
Flabby sleep. I'm gonna go to sleep at night thinking about Matt Smith screaming.
Yeah.
That's so bad.
No, Skelduck, I am a Time Lord. Fuck, what?
I'm a Time Lord.
What happened to him between series 5 and 7? What happened to him?
I don't know.
Like, they cut to different clips of him in the meme thing. You cut to the bit for them in Flesh and Stone. You got the scene where he's using the torch, and he's like, you look at that, and then you look at him in Cold War. It's like he's a completely different character. It's so weird.
It's a real shame.
Yep.
So the scene with River, like him being a lot more quiet and being a lot more.
I just got because you know how I did that. But what about Hellbent tweet yesterday? So I got one response saying, "Not loving Hellbent is so 2015," because Samuel Davis is just like, "Oh, but it's 2021 now. You're not supposed to dislike it anymore." Even though it doesn't change. Even though writing is timeless, and then also another person said the second best series finale in all of Doctor Who. What of it?
No, it's not. I've already ripped it apart, so we don't need to go further.
But in better news, we've got a tweet from Chloe said, "Don't stop at the Flesh returning in the series. Let's do a Come movie, Flesh trilogy, Come cinematic universe, Flesh theme park, Come island, Flesh planet." It's like the one thing I really like about that story is the memes that have come out of it since.
Because it looks like cum.
Yeah, and then when Will Maddox, who made that video, made the tweet that Amy's baby turned to cum, Indigo Man goes to war. And he got cancelled for it because apparently it's insensitive.
Oh my god! How dare you?
How dare you be funny? I sentence you to
cancellation.
I sentence you to flabby.
Anyway, I think that should be it.
All right then. So long.
Bye-bye.
See you when I see.